give everybody a minute to come in while I fix my hair. My hair is everywhere today. It is really, 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 really aggressive today. Anybody else have aggressive hair? I've got really aggressive hair. Okay, give everybody just a minute to come in. I do have a small thing of Temu where they had to refund me all that I spent where they didn't get it to me, and I don't know who got it, but somebody else got it. And then it had some late, so I've got some Temu, and I figured we'd chit chat for a minute because David did a video last night. I think he's going to do another one today, so y'all are going to get another. I think he's just chronicling his trapping and stuff, what's going on right now during the season. We're having a very weird season. This is where it was super cold. We were starting to get in the routine of everything that was super cold, and he got a really great snare set with the coyotes, and now it's warmed back up. It's like spring weather here. Well, it's not today. It's kind of cold today, but it's gonna be like spring weather for the rest of the week, and a few days at least. And it's just setting all the animals off in different tangents. Right now, a lot of stuff is actually breeding. So you've got, they're in the middle of a stupid phase. You can really trap them quite easily if you know what you're looking for. And it's just really weird how the weather is going from like polar vortex to, oh, it's spring, polar vortex, wait, it's spring. And I'm, for one, I'm over it because it's just wreaking havoc with my sinuses. So I've been up doing dishes and doing some stuff, putting on a roast. And I thought, well, I need to open this. Let's just open it together. I don't think there's very much in here. I think this is one of the scraggler packages. I've had several not show up. I guess they said delivered, but they weren't delivered here. So whoever got them, hope you enjoy them. I did actually get a sweatshirt off of one of my friends that basically ordered the same thing, only a size bigger than I'd ordered. And it was too big for her, and she gave it to me. So I actually did get one of the sweatshirts I was supposed to get one of the orders, but roundabout kind of way. I think it's got sheep on it. I can't remember what it's got on it. I'll have to go back and look. It's back in the bedroom. You've missed me. Well, I don't know of anybody that's missed me, but I'm back up top on the hill because my brother's coming in this weekend. And then first of the week, Mom has more tests for her hips. And so it just made sense for me to be here closer to my nurses and stuff. So here I am. Okay, let's see what's in this bag. And then we'll talk about some other stuff going on in the world today. This has been, hello, Batman. No, Batman. And this has been a weird Temu year. So they didn't get a whole bunch of stuff to me, even though it was guaranteed by Christmas. They had to pay me back for a bunch of stuff, completely refund me. Some stuff never got here. Some stuff said delivered, but it wasn't to me. And so now we're starting to get where they refunded me. I had the Temu credit. We're starting to get some of the scragglers where I spent a little bit of the Temu credit. These are the scragglers. I do have one huge purchase coming in from the Temu credit. If it weren't for Temu credit, we wouldn't be doing Temu purchases right now because this winter has been horrid and people that work outside have not been able to work. So it's been a rough winter on everyone. I did order, if y'all know, my bedroom's done to cows. So I got me a Longhorn. And this was actually really affordable. I think it was like $8. I mean, and it's already framed, ready to be hung. I thought that was really good for this. I like to get the canvases sometimes and put them on like barn lumber stuff, but this was already framed and had a super great price on it, and I had the credit, so I'm not as picky when I spend credit. So I got this. I think this is beautiful. And my bedroom is done in cows. I'm sure most of y'all that are with me a lot know that. Y'all, if we have any more plane crashes, I'm going to begin to worry what's going on. What's going on in the world? No, I didn't draw that. I ordered that from Temu. I do like to get the canvases, though, and put them on like barn lumber and then paint them in, blend them in. And I've done that to several. I've got a horse sitting over there on the floor that I did that to. It's on really old barn lumber. It's really pretty. Let's see. My bathroom is done in black bears. Y'all are learning a lot about me today. My bathroom's done in black bear, so I got a little bathroom mat with a bear. And this was from a refund. They had to refund me some orders that said delivered. They didn't get delivered here. I don't know where they are. But anyway, so a lot of stuff was late and then it never showed up. And so they've had to refund me a bunch of money from stuff I ordered back in like Thanksgiving time. So Temu's really dragging, but they're trying. And the funny thing is some of the stuff I bought with a refund, with the Temu credit, I've already had late orders. They've had to pay me back for late orders. So they didn't get it here in time, had to pay late, then had to refund the order when it didn't go where it was going. Then they refunded and I've started to spend Temu credit, and then those orders have been late again. I don't know what's going on with Temu, but at this point I'm making money off of them just by having Temu credit. So hey. But I got this for the bathroom. My bathroom's done in bears. I've got a big black bear shower curtain and zip ties. Y'all know my husband's a fur trapper tanner, and I do a lot of crafts, and these are just necessary monsters when you live in the sticks. Zip ties. You can get them super cheap on Temu. You don't have to go to the hardware store, to Walmart, and pay the horrible prices they have. It's pathetic. Oh, look. I took my nails off. Here's another set of nails. These are pretty. These are like a cat's eye red. And I am somebody that has been swayed to the handmade nail side of Temu because I've worn a couple sets now and they stay on for literally a couple weeks. I might have had to put 2 on in like 14 days, 13 days. I just had to take them off this morning because I was going to clean the house. I tried to put on a different set. They were not going to stay. These are the best nails, these little 10-piece. Now, you're going to have to keep up with them because if you lose one, you're screwed. But they wear so much better, and I am so tickled with them. Let me put those on later. Let's see. Oh, we got a pair of pink ones too. Yep, just like a little nude pink. These are pretty too. That would probably match my sweater. I don't know what I'm going to wear the next several days though. Nothing matches my tattoos. I don't know which one I put down. I put one of those on. But you can get them for sometimes $1.30. So not really any more than the others. So I just look for those now because they stay on so much better. Asking naughty things like that. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. I am a retired parole officer, so if you say something that needs to be reported, I'm probably the person to do it. So you might want to vacate the premises. I supervise murders for my state. I did federal supervision too with people that had like multiple levels of supervision, and I did the ICOTS, the Interstate Compact. So yeah, I probably don't want to come here and play those games. Probably not. Nope. Okay, this is actually just a black soap dispenser for the bathroom. It's squished down right now. Just a sleek soap dispenser for the bathroom. Hopefully one that's stable enough it won't get slammed all over the bathroom when people go to slap the top of it. Feels like it's got a good weight to it. Tickle with that. I have a black bear bathroom, so everything is just kind of black or wood themed. And then the last thing in this package, this is one of the last few packages that came in. Just got scragglers in it. I'm still waiting for my big purchase, though. It's not got here, and it was local warehouse. It should have beat everything else here, so I'm beginning to get worried about it. So we'll see. We shall see. Oh, these are nicer than I anticipated. These are the electric salt and pepper grinders, and they take batteries, obviously. You fill them up with your peppercorn or your salt, and you put batteries in them. They have rechargeable ones, but they were very expensive. How do you put the stuff in them? So I'm going to have to play with these for a little while. Cool. These are a lot bigger and a lot nicer than I anticipated. So they're both basically identical. And they're heavy. I like them. I did not anticipate these being this nice. I did not at all. So, and then when you turn them up, they're supposed to automatically come on when you get the batteries in them. So when you turn them up, they sprinkle, and then you set them back down to make them stop. Kind of neat. I've never had any like this. I just always had regular old shakers, or even old vintage ones that I found at thrift shops and stuff. So that's kind of neat. And they have a light. They have a light that comes on when you turn them upside down. That comes on when you shake them. So I just need to figure out how to put batteries in. We're all good. Okay, so that was the Temu portion. The Temu portion of today. I did make a fur mantle for like people going into I'm sorry, somebody just put something on screen that I found was very hilarious. I did make the fur mantle for people going to like Renaissance festivals or other festivals, Viking stuff. It's made out of vintage stoles, so sables. It's got like 3-4 different types of fur on it. And I put it on David's Etsy store because he's the one that bought everything. I just put them together. So the fur mantle, I didn't line it so it could be as cheap as possible. The stoles are lined, but you can see where they're sewed together. I sewed it together and I back sewed, like it's got 2 strands of sewing done. And I put 5 or 6 stoles all together in it. So it's done. It's on the Etsy store. The Etsy store is Hillbilly Heart Decor. If you want to go look it up, David's got some hides on there. He's going to be putting some bobcats on really soon. And people's been wanting some bobcat fur, so he's going to put bobcats on soon. I've just got to figure out how to do this. And I think he's got some raccoons, just some really nice beaver hides on there. He's got some raccoons. We're out of coyotes right now. Bobcats are coming. We're out of otter. And I've got dream catchers I'm fixing to put on, but I've got to get with Colin to get some mail to him. So it's been just a weird winter, and he's a lineman, so work has been sporadic. So if you are in the need of anything like that, please go to the Etsy shop, support Dave. He has been absolutely, I've got to put on my glasses so I can see what people are saying. He has absolutely been busting his butt in the fur shed while he's had this time off. He does not enjoy time off. Like my library glasses, he doesn't enjoy time off. He doesn't like it at all. Okay, we're still getting trolled here on this channel, and if you've noticed, the trolls have come in hot and heavy since YouTube has decided to yank and play with the monetization. Say I had 2 AdSense accounts when I only ever signed up for AdSense once. We're still fussing with them over that. So right now you don't see the monetization. It's just going to have to be for a while till we figure it out with them. I'm currently fussing with them, hoping that comes back. Y'all, I don't know what's going to happen right now. I do know that they've knocked a lot of the fur trapper channels down. They're saying they violate community standards, but they'll allow people to come on and say crap like this. Let's look at the comments, wherever it's live chat or down here. They don't police the right people on YouTube. YouTube is really a sucky place right now. And, they'll put podcasts and stuff up that are absolutely atrocious, but people that do things that are completely legal and regulated by the government, no, they won't. You're a bad person. It's retarded. It really is. I use the R word. It's retarded. So we're just going to have to play it by ear and see what they do. We were wanting to cut a check to North Carolina to feed some families at the end of February. And if the weather keeps going like this, we're going to be one of the families that need to be fed. It is absolutely horrible right now in Appalachia. The weather, if you work outside, the weather has not been your friend. And a lot of people are in dire straits. Now, we do better than most, but it's getting tight around here from the weather, and having outdoor jobs is just it's not been a great winter. This has been a winter like when I was a child, the really horrible winters that we used to have with the blizzards and stuff. This has not been our average Tennessee winter. About every 7 to 10 years we get an ice storm or a huge snowstorm. So maybe this is just, that happening, but it's just been a very weird winter, and it's just been strange. If it's super cold, I'll be up here trying to help keep the fire and stuff. If it's warm, I'll be down at the farm, more rest, and just do a little bit better. But it's kind of where am I needed, where my nurse is going to need to be that week, and how well am I doing with all my health stuff. And I got quite a bit of rest last week at the farm. That came in really handy because I needed it. My sinuses are doing a lot better, and I just needed to sleep. And that's something I don't get to do a lot when I'm up here. So that was handy. I got to sleep, rest, and visit with Mom, do some sewing. So I'm feeling a little bit better. I know it's supposed to be 67 here in a couple of days, and I'm like, what is going on? Then it's going to drop back out in snow. And I was like, I'm so over this weather. I'm so over this weather. Hi, Sally. We got Mickey and Sally here. So one thing I wanted to point out was the plane crashes. We've had 3 plane crashes since we changed administrations. A fighter jet in Alaska, the helicopter and plane in off of the Reagan airport, and now this Airbus that was out of Philadelphia that was going to Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri. It was already on fire before it hit the ground, so something has happened. They did lose touch with it when it was on the runway to take off. They had to shut down the runway, all runways, and make sure that it was okay. So maybe something happened in that time that they didn't relay that then worsened when they got in the air. I don't know. Very strange. The way it fell, you'd expect one that's still in its ascent to kind of then take a elongated path down, but this one fell straight down. So it's just strange all around, horrible. We've had a lot of issues in this nation. I tell everybody buckle up for the next 4 years because our administrations are so willing to take emotional hostages or worse. And they are so, they think power is just the pivotal thing, and it's not. It's how many people do you have behind you? What are the status of the people that are behind you? And what do the people behind you bring to the table? Well, I thought, with the calmer people that we'd have a calmer time. But it seems like all the people that are not calm are now going crazy because somebody tried to get into the White House the other day and they had to arrest them. They were going to go and do harm to people in the White House. Just people are really on their last little thread of the rope that they're hanging on to. And it's really strange to see this because last 4 years when we had the change of power, we just kind of sat down and went, well, shit, we got 4 years to deal with this crap. And we watched the crap unfurl, and we know what we lived through. It was absolutely verified with all the pardons at the very end, the last 2 hours of him being in office. And, here's the thing. I think that they have created such a polarized group of people in the U.S. People that don't read. They don't read the government websites. They don't read the patents, the paperwork. They don't keep up with DARPA. They don't read. And so they hear something and they believe it. A lot of what I've heard the last few days have been absolute lies or emotional news stories, not factual. And so then I have to go and do my own research. And it's very easy to find the information. And there's a finger for you. It's very easy to find the information. Hey, I'm point blank. It's very easy to find the information if you take 5 seconds to look for it. But we have a lot of people that like to be blind, ignorant is bliss, and they like to revel in their bliss. And then they want to pull everybody down to their ignorant level. And so we've got a nation right now that is struggling. It's struggling because we've got a lot of people that are not stable mentally, emotionally, that are taking large actions to harm the nation. And everybody thinks I'm so nice. I'm like, I'm really not nice. That's why I supervised murderers for a long time. I'm really not nice. I'm kosher if you're kosher, and if you're not, it's okay. I'll come down and meet you where you are. But we've got a lot of people that are now, they were so close to breaking, and the media knew this. And so now they're going to break these people. So these people act out. So if you're one of these people that are close to breaking, just know that you're being manipulated. You're being used by people that don't care about you. They won't remember what you think you're going to do that's going to benefit everybody. They won't remember shit. They're just going to use you as fodder for the beast, okay? Their power. They want their power back, and they'll consume anybody to get that power back. So if you're sitting there thinking you're going to do this great thing to save it, no, you're not. No, you're not. You're just on the other side of the table. Just like they're extremists on both sides, you're just on the other side of the table, and you're just as horrible and as awful and going to do just as horrible things as either extremist side. So it's just like I've told you several times, life is not lived, at the polar opposites of the pendulum swing. It's lived down here in the middle. But the news media and stuff, they don't show you that. They don't show the normalcy anymore. They show you the extreme viewpoints. And that's because they're trying to weaponize society. They're trying to weaponize the citizens of America. And so I want everybody to think, if you're being manipulated, if you're sitting here and somebody switches power, no laws have changed, nothing really has trickled down yet, we're just 11 days in. If you are so unstable because of things you've heard, but you've not read anything, you've not gone to look at laws, you've not looked at congressional records, you've not verified to yourself that things have actually changed, but you're about to lose your ever-loving mind, sit down, talk to somebody, Because I know that Trump saying there's two genders, like everybody started crying on the internet. How does that hurt you? What law did that take away? What legal avenue or recourse did you lose? Did you lose your job? No. Did you lose money on the hour? No. Why are you so upset? Well, he said, well, a lot of people say everything. Does it change what you're living? No. Well, why are you so upset? You're being manipulated. I sit here and I say, if somebody's trying to make you feel big emotions, it's because they want to use you in some way, shape, or form. Don't. Sit back and watch these people that want you to have huge emotions because they just want to use you. It's point blank. We're in a time where people are turning on each other, even in our little tight-knit group, especially, oh gosh, if you watch Sabrina's channel on Odyssey. The synergists are really kind of calm, even kill people. They want to consume as much information as possible, and then they'll pitch out what they don't want to listen to, and they'll use the other that they think is necessary. They don't get really animated about anything. They go, okay, well, I didn't need that. I'm going to focus on this. Other people come there and they're like, what did she say? Oh my God. And it's just like, okay, you're not somebody that can sift through information. You're somebody that gets stuck on the emotional things. I'm not going to get stuck on the emotional things because that makes me easy to manipulate. It makes me stupid. Because if I act out of emotion, you're never going to make the right decision because you put yourself in your amygdala. You make fight or flight responses. So be very careful who you respond to and how you respond right now. But I will say it's even happening in Sabrina's avenue. There are people going over there and saying that she's lying about certain things, or I know she's talked about some law enforcement stuff, and they're saying, oh, she's lied about law enforcement. They don't use these tactics or these. Let me tell you about what we used the last time that I did home visits. Okay, they had elevated our home visit game. And I mean, for me, I had to do home visits where I lost cell phone, everything, and I had to go into very dangerous people's homes and search their homes and check on them. So I guess they were trying to keep their officers safe, but I really thought it created a very cold and impersonal feeling to supervision. And you have to have a really good rapport with the people you supervise to help them stay productive and out of jail. You really do. And they handed us a tool. It was called an RF scanner. RF, radio frequency. Frequency, yes, we're playing on frequencies. They were so wealthy, had such technology, they had trickled down to the little state agencies a little RF scanner. And the hostile people, or the people that abuse children younger than them in horrible ways, those that I can't say, they wore anklets that could not come off of them. Okay, you get what I'm throwing down here? Yeah, and you could just point this little scanner at the home and it would scan. And I could tell if Bobby Joe or Tommy Jean or Betty Sue was in there. And so sometimes I'd scan home and I'd be like, listen, you need to tell Leroy he needs to go home. He ain't supposed to be at your house. Well, you don't know he's in here. No, I do. I'm picking up his Thomas ID. Tell him he needs to go home. And so I could scan a home and see who was in there. They were talking about doing implants into the prisoners before release, which I was totally against because I don't think you have the right to inject anything in anyone's body, even if they're a freaking felon. And there are too many other ways to do it. You don't treat them like guinea pigs, because a lot of these people come out of prison and turn their life around and become very good people. I've saw it, and I'm all about championing the underdog. When they do that, it makes me so happy. So I kind of fought for rights, even though I was somebody that supervised these people. I think that's why I had such a good success rate. People knew I was there for the right reasons. But we could just scan a home, and it would tell us who was in there. They had tons of crap like this. It finally trickled down to us, and they were giving us very heavy tech stuff. We would follow certain offenders on the maps. Every day we'd have a computer up with maps with various beeping dots on there because we were monitoring where these people went. And we had a pretty high tech, for a bumpkin rural area, but the people in the cities had even more tools. People don't think these things exist. You do know that just remaining ignorant of what's out there doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means you don't know. So for anybody that thinks that law enforcement is like still doing it old school, no, they're not. No, they're not. No. And even though lie detector tests are not admissible in court anymore, really, they still make certain offenders do one every year, and they will use them against them, which I think is ludicrous. If it's not admissible in court, why is it admissible against this certain offender? It's just strange. Just strange. There's a lot of stuff that I didn't like about my job, a lot of stuff that I thought was really just wrong. And I talk about it now, and I help people. And people ask me questions all the time, and I'm like, let me tell you how to handle this, because they're going to be up your butt and trying to put you back in jail for no reason whatsoever. So I try to be a good person and do what's right. Either side of the stream, I'm trying to do what's right. But we had high tech stuff that we monitored, we used. And a lot of people don't know that exists. They were using frequencies to monitor, surveil, control offenders a long time ago. I've been 7, almost 8 years retired. Yeah. And even when I worked at the wilderness boot camps that were out in the middle of like 3,500 acres, they had surveillance stuff around the perimeter to monitor, to know where these kids would breach, and so we'd know which way to run and try to find them. Which they always try to run. They always try to run to one town that had a bus, because we were so rural. So it was, you always knew where they were going to go run for the bus, because that was the quickest way to get out. But they use a lot of technology, even in Bumpkin Town, to monitor these vendors. So people don't understand that. And I'm so glad I'm not a parole officer anymore. I mean, it was just not a good job. I was the institutional parole officer of a couple of jails while I was there. I did cognitive behavioral therapy with the violent offenders, supervised the murders, helped with the lie detectors of the one offenders, and it was, I did the clemencies for the governor's office, which not a one went through while I was there, because nobody was appropriate. They did try to push one on me once. The governor called, said, well, I know his dad. I don't care. I know him. He just had a violent offense in Kentucky, which I have a pending warrant for, and he's not getting a clemency application. And I told that little short governor to take a hike. So I'm not putting my name on nothing. If you want to lie about it, you're going to get another officer. So I tried to do the right thing. I tried to be, a good person. I was the only adult person that had children there. I was like the eldest. Everybody else that worked there was young. And there were certain times I had to take the other counselors and go, listen here, dipshit. When you go out on your 2 days off and all you do is drink and you come back smelling alcohol, you tell these kids that everything I'm teaching them here is, you don't have to do it. It's not, you can still leave this place and be whoever you want to be. I said, straighten the crap up. So I had to keep the other counselors in check, just like I had the kids. I was the only person that worked there that had children. And I thought, my God, we're taking care of children. Don't you want people that work here that have children? But I had problems with that too. Good business plan and motivation, horrible execution. I told them, that boy through an accident, man, I had to have a bunch of leg surgeries. And I told him, I said, you're going to have to hire better people, because the counselors you have are so young and stupid themselves that they're not showing these kids what needs to be shown, and therefore they're not taking care of these kids the way they need to be taken care of. And I said, you're going to have a major issue with that. And then I resigned and left and found another job. I'd been there and I'd gone through those surgeries, and I was like, I'm done. I'm not going to get hurt again over stupid people. Because I had to go and save a little 120-pound counselor that had got herself in trouble with a big boy from Texas. So they had to hire and, call in the big guns to go and separate that out. And I was one that got axed. But I got the other 13 kids in the counselor to safety. But I was like, I'm not going to be here to get hurt because y'all are stupid. So I left. Well, 2 months later, they had a boy come back from a home pass that had used substances at the airport. They picked him up, and he was obviously under the influence. It was late at night by the time they got back from the airport, and they knew he was under the influence. Rather than call a director or someone above them, they just told him to go to his camp and sleep it off. They hiked him to his camp and said, sleep it off. Well, whatever he had taken slowed his respirations down to where he actually passed away in his sleep. That camp got closed. Thank God. And I told them it was coming. I warned them several times, but stupid people do stupid things. And it was a tragic event. That boy, he did not deserve the treatment that he got. He did not deserve to die in that manner. He, even as stupid as he was to take the drugs, he is a young person. He is not grown. He's not mature. His brain is not fully formed. That's why you put them in controlled environments. And you have to anticipate these stupid kids that have learned stupid tricks to do stupid crap. And these people just didn't care. And I couldn't take it anymore. And I left, and they shut that camp down after that. And I'm glad they did, because there was a lot of stuff going on there. I couldn't work there. But I've worked jobs. It's very hard because you you have to care, but you have to also maintain your emotional distance to do your job. But there always comes a time when you have to stand up for what's right and declare this is wrong, to hopefully save a life or help somebody. Sadly, these people would not listen to me, so I went elsewhere. I did a stint for AmeriCorps. I did a contract for AmeriCorps and tutored in Appalachia, and actually taught more parents to read than I did children. Because why would you teach a child to read if they go home and they can't get help with their homework? So I ended up, instead of just tutoring in schools, I did after school tutoring and taught parents how to read and sent home pamphlets for the parents to learn to read so they could help their child with homework. Because you got a kid in second, third grade, they're starting to read, they need help. So I taught more parents to read than I did children. I thought it was the bigger bang for the buck. I thought the parents were going to be able to help and hopefully help the kid for many years after that. So I've done a lot of jobs that other people kind of run away from. They think they're too emotional. Well, yeah, you have to be invested emotionally, but you also have to have your distance to be able to do the job, do it correctly. So it wasn't very hard to transition into supervision, not at all. What I didn't like about supervision was the way they set it up to make you fail. Supervision is not done to make you successful. It's done to make you fail. Because once they have you in the money racket for the courts and the restitution, the court costs, renting the courtroom like a surgical suite, supervision fees, I mean, it's the things they make you pay. The guys that have to have their lie detector, they pay for that every year too. They pay for their counseling. They, and it's by law mandated. You have to do this by the courts. But you got to pay for it all. And then you pay us to make sure you do it. I was just like, we're putting too many speed bumps in these people's faces when a lot of people want to be successful and they come out and they want to do good things and they get so bogged down emotionally from the failure aspect of it because it's so expensive. And I would always prep them when I would have somebody that was going to be released from the jail. I'd be like, listen, you're coming out. You've been in here for 2+ years. It's going to be hard. It's going to be expensive. You're going to have to, work, and you're going to have to be prepared to fail a little bit because this is not set up to make you successful. It's set up to keep you, financially responsible to the state. And I gave them a little bit more preparedness, I think. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you had the same experience. I talked a lot about the experience I had there, and I've talked to a lot of people that actually pulled some strings and investigated some of these camps. And I found a lot of money issues. They were saying that the sites were X amount of thousands of dollars to revamp, but they were pocketing about half of it. They were not putting the money into the campsites. The kids were living in deplorable conditions. It was, and I'm a bumpkin, and I lived there with them in the horrible conditions. But I was amazed to see the paperwork come through the office and it'd be like they're getting thousands for each campsite. And they're not putting maybe half of it in there. Where's the rest of the money going? We're hiring our significant other to be the psychiatrist on duty. What? And then they're only working one day every 2 weeks. Mental breakdowns don't just happen when you want to come to work. It's horrible. It was one of those things where you just kind of have to sit around long enough to figure out who's doing the good and who's doing the bad, and then when you leave, have enough information to help stop the people that are doing the bad. Are you making lunch? Warming up lunch. He's warming up lunch. So Jens will have another Trapper Dave video this evening where he's just kind of chronicling his days checking the traps. You what? He said he'll do a live tomorrow night. If I'm feeling good, I'll be with him.
Maybe. Yeah, we'll try to do one. Probably like last time, between 5 and 7.
Yeah, they didn't like for me to shadow their groups because I would be like, oh, we have a problem here. That's not okay. And they didn't like me because I would be like, you can't do that. Even though I know that kid's a brat and has horrible problems and horrible issues and is a danger, you still have to treat them like a little soul that needs to be helped. And it's a very fine line. You have to really balance because sometimes you just want to smack them. But you have to go, this kid has never had any education, never had any emotional security, and they normally blossom a lot when they find a safe place. It's very hard to find a safe place with some of the counselors they hired. And I was very adamant to get the horrible ones out of there. I had one that was supposed to show up and drive to a canoe trip down to like Florida from Tennessee. She showed up and had alcohol on her breath from her 2 days off partying. And I said, absolutely not. You're not going anywhere to cancel the canoe trip. No. And they were like, oh, Elizabeth, just let her. And I was like, no, she wouldn't pass a DUI field sobriety test right now, you idiot. I'm not letting her leave with this. And if you put her on the road, I'm walking up there getting a cell signal and I'm calling the law. They got very mad at me. And they said, well, we have so many people tied up in this. I said, I don't care. She's not driving in that state. And I said, I won't let her leave. I said, I don't want her anywhere around them kids. They got very upset with me. But I looked at it as if I wouldn't approve it for my children, I'm not going to approve it for somebody else's children. So I was a stick in the mud. And oh, well, the kids knew that I looked after them. And other than the one boy that he only been there just a little bit, he threw the axe at me. He actually became one of the kids that still, to this day, even though he's middle-aged now, calls and emails and checks on me. You know, and they know who's there for them and who's not, who's actually a good parental figure in that scenario. And that's basically what you are. And I just was not okay with these people that would go out and party, come back looking all sorts of I was just like, no, I'm sorry. You're not going to have these children to ruin. I'm sorry. So yeah, it was, I knew the camp was going down and I was like, I'm not going to be here. No. So I just kind of reported everything and vacated. I left after my surgeries. It was a mess. I had a much better time with AmeriCorps. AmeriCorps is actually a really good program. I was tickled with it. I had fun. I did a lot of community service. I did a lot of outreach. Had a very great lady that was above me from 2 counties over that was like the hub lady. She was wonderful. I took it as a chance to really improve what these kids are going to see for the rest of their educational career, and I wanted the parents to be able to hang with them. So I taught more parents to read than children. I sent home parental packets. We did after school stuff. We visited. I did sometimes where I went to their home and help them get a grasp on things. I set them up with other programs where they could continue to learn. And it was a really good experience. I really did have a good experience with AmeriCorps. It wasn't the best pay, but they had a lot of perks to it where you really were making a huge difference in your community. You were really changing some lives. So I really enjoyed that. Really. But I don't know. I've always been in careers where you're working with a group of people that need help, that you have to be responsible for. It's super emotional. It's super stressful. You have to be really ready to sit down and cut through the crap and deal with it. And then you can have your breakdown later, but you've got to stay the course with them so that they see somebody that's, consistent. So, but a lot of people don't understand how high tech a lot of the world is. And like I said, we had RF scanners that would tell us what bodies were in the home. I could identify each body by their TOMAS identification thing that, if broke, notified the surveillance system and everybody. Once it started beeping, everybody was alerted. And so we used a lot of stuff that, came from military. It would just trickle down and come to us eventually. And we were getting kind of highfalutin, especially with the surveillance on the SO, the offenders that hurt little children in bad ways. Yes, we had a lot of very top of the line surveillance stuff on them. And it was kind of funny because it felt weird because we were always just the podunk bumpkin area. But when we would go to these big PSU trainings and stuff, we'd learn all the stuff that the cities had, and we'd finally get a few tools. And so the people in the cities and the metro areas, they had many more tools than us. And they came in more useful because you could scan an apartment complex and see who was in there. We would only scan houses, and it was rare to find more than a few offenders if they were up to something no good. But in apartment complexes, safety of the officer, you would want to scan and see how many is in there because they could take you out at any time. And so it was used more in the metro areas, but we did get them in the rural areas. And so, they use a lot of these frequency and military type tools. So a lot of people that don't think that the military's there, they are. They're so far past what we think is possible that these little things that are trickling down are like, wow, we get to use this now. A lot of people had night vision if they did the violent people in metro areas and had to do after hours home visits. Some people would have night vision. which wouldn't really come in handy in the sticks because all the animals would catch catch the heat sensors and stuff. But it's just weird, some of the tools that the metro areas had and what we finally got our hands on. But with the PSU, they had some really highfalutin tools, but everybody had an RF scanner available to them. Every district, every office. Now, like our office would share it between like 4 groups of officers, so we would all schedule our home visits on different days. You weren't supposed to go out by yourself. But I at one time had 437 people I had to curtail, so I had to go out on my own because everybody else just had about 100. So I would spend at least 4 more days on home visits than everybody else. So I would have to go out on my own, and I would tell them where I'm going to be and do my map routes. And I often wondered why they didn't just put an anklet on me so they could follow me through the day, but nobody ever thought about that. That I'd go out with a little scanner and just scan the homes. And a couple times I'd be like, listen, tell Tom to go home. He ain't supposed to be there. What? He's not here. Yeah, he is. It's the other end of the house trying to hide. Tell him to leave. And so it was, the tools were neat, but I think they actually kind of distanced you from your convicts, from your felons, because you needed to have a good rapport with them. You needed to work with them, and you needed to be approachable and personable. And I think that those things kind of made you more standoffish. They looked at you as, the other side. And what we were really trying to do is make them aware of what they needed to do to stay productive and out of jail. We just wanted them to be productive, out of jail, and get through supervision. So it was hard because the tools did have a very cold feel to them. They did make you feel like you were kind of militant. I didn't like that. I have no idea what. Anyway, I was just kind of like the even kill person. I did between a 3 to 5 county rotation between cognitive behavioral therapy, the different levels of supervision, IPO positions with the jails. Training was always in another county. I would normally have to drive about 2 hours for training. You'd have to go to the police academy every year, sometimes twice a year, to revamp and get recertified. A lot of these rural counties that have deputies that have never been to the police, like they get hired, they have so many months to send them to the police academy. A lot of them never go because they quit before they get to that level. So we've got a lot of people that are working, getting rehired, and working multiple years without making it to the police academy. They don't take their job very seriously. They don't get trained incorrectly. They don't understand what the motivation is behind the job. They just like power. If you go to the police academy, you get sworn in by a U.S. Marshal who will tell you they will sue you to the extent of the law if you screw up and do something that looks bad on the agency. And I think a lot of these rural places that have the time gap, I think it should be, it doesn't matter if you get fired and when you're hired you can start again. I think it's the months worked. If you get over 10 months work, you have to go to the police academy before you can work anymore. Not 10 months from your hire date, because you can just quit and be rehired, and never go to the police academy. You need to be going to the police academy. They don't understand. Tennessee Annotated Code, it supersedes the intelligence here in my area. We're just going to say that point blank. Had an officer, my son, who was 18 at the time, was riding bike trails. It got late, so he skirted down the road real quick to get back home. He couldn't see behind him with his helmet, so he took his helmet off. He's of age. He's allowed to make those stupid decisions. The state trooper stopped him, wrote him a ticket for no helmet on a motorized vehicle, even though he was just on a mountain bike. I had to call and say, your officer's stupid. He wrote a ticket that's about as legal as toilet paper in my bathroom. He also scared my child, who took him with the utmost authority because his mother's an officer, so he took that officer with the utmost authority. You scared the crap out of my kid when nothing you did was legal. Do you do this to everybody you come in contact with? Because if so, you need to be taken out of the force. And I got an apology and all that, but they didn't explain why that officer had become a state trooper without understanding simple law. They didn't want me making another phone call, so they took care of it. Mickey, I'm sorry to hear that. A lot of people, especially the younger people in this area, we've kind of done them dirty. I say we. Our nation's kind of done them dirty because our media and everything about our nation right now, everything that makes the news, everything that makes the airwaves, it's super emotional. So these kids are growing up in a super volatile world where people don't care about the next 10 years. They care about how they feel right now. And you do stupid things when you don't care about the next 10 years. You do stupid things when you're just stuck on your emotion right then. And these kids are seeing all this turmoil. They're trying to grow up. They can't present themselves as adults. They're getting ate up at every opportunity by the world. You can't buy a home. You can't make good money. It's all a struggle right now, especially for these younger kids. And they have no way to really advance into adulthood. And a lot of them are so overwhelmed, they turn to drugs as a respite. I don't understand why people do that, because in a few hours, when you come back to, you're going to have to handle it anyway. What's the point? I just don't understand. But for some people, they use this as a coping mechanism, and then it turns into an addiction. Then it turns into a huge lifelong issue. And a lot of it would not ever happen if we lived in a better society where people had advancements for adulthood. They had a way to prove themselves, show themselves. They could earn the normal things that, oh, I made it here in life, and feel like they are actually accomplishing something. We've got probably a generation or two of people that don't feel like they've ever accomplished anything, so they choose to check out. And then they make it much harder on themselves, because they don't understand when you get caught and you go to jail and you're on supervision, it becomes 10 times as hard. And then the work you're going to have to put out is way more than you would have had to put out if you'd just been a good person from the get-go. I always tell my offenders, if you put the energy in toward being good that you put in toward being stupid, you'd be a flipping rocket scientist living the high life. Because the energy these people will put into finding dope, building a meth lab, doing some scientist-grade crap that is not beneficial for anybody, it's amazing the hours they would put towards stupid stuff that's just going to put them in prison. If they would take that energy and apply it in a good way, my God, they would be who knows what. And so I would always tell them that. I'd be like, it's not the time you're spending doing, stuff. It's what you spend doing it on. If you spent that time doing something positive, oh my God, you'd be an amazing person. So why do you keep getting on that slow roll train instead of the one that's going to take you up? They never could explain that to me. A lot of it was they were just emotionally checking out. They'd had enough and they just couldn't take any more. And I think that's kind of what society wants to create right now. They want a citizen group of people that just don't pay attention because it's too hard. And then they can get away with whatever they want to get away with. It's too hard to go to a government website and read. It's too hard to watch the patents come in that the government's getting. It's too hard to hold accountable these government agencies that do stupid things. It's too hard to ask the appropriate questions and have to have dialogue with somebody that you don't like. It's too hard to keep your temper under control. It's just too hard. So, people have just given up. And I'm like, wow. It's kind of pathetic, actually. It's kind of pathetic. I mean, you can look at the status of the people and the comments coming in, and you can see that, hey, listen, if brains were ammo, we wouldn't have enough to kill a squirrel. I mean, you just see by the comments rolling. I'm always amazed when YouTube throws me out into the algorithm and I get trolled real heavy for a week or two. I'm always amazed at the lackluster quality or lack thereof of the people that come into the chats and leave really stupid comments. A lot of them are probably bots. So you know that YouTube's creating this purposefully. And then you wonder, why would you do that, YouTube? Why would you not want your platform to be a great place for intelligence and conversation and communication and dialogue? Why would you want it to be hostile? Because hostility makes people emotional. And if you're emotional, you can be led by the nose. And you become whatever they want you to become, and you're not smart enough to understand that. And I feel bad for these people that come on here and they think they're trolling somebody. But if I don't give you the time of day while I'm here, do you think you matter to me 5 minutes when I'm gone? Yet you put that much energy into somebody that doesn't care. You really think that little of yourself. Why? What happened? What happened to where I'm the only person that you think you can, or you're not in control of anything in your real world, and you come here to try to elicit control, and you don't know how to get it in your own world, so you come here to think you have it? Spend that time trying to find a way to get better control in reality. You're worth it. Why are you not worth it? You think the only thing you're worth is going on the internet and trying to manipulate a stranger who has supervised murders and been called everything but a white girl? You're not going to bother me. But why would you just come on here and tell people, hey, I have no control of my life. I come here to get it. And when I don't get what I want, I get hostile, I get aggravated. And then I start saying horrible things, and I start saying really crass things that could probably get me pursued by the cops. And, And when I leave here, I've not achieved anything. I've not gotten anything positive, maybe a little bit of endorphin rush. And I go right back into a world that I can't control. And then I'm going to have to come back here to try to think I have some kind of control. And you're lying to yourself. You don't. I would hope that people would care enough about themselves to look at what they're doing and identify what they're doing. Because it's a very bad training protocol to train yourself to think you're going to get anything positive off of a platform like this, especially if you're trying to manipulate people. You're not. You're just spinning your wheels and wasting your energy. It would be better used to rectify what's going on in the real world. And I see these people that come in here and do these things, and I'm like, do you not care about yourself? Do you not love yourself enough to know where your energy's going? Do you not love yourself enough to know that you're wasting yourself on nothing? There's nothing fruitful going to come from hostilities on the internet. Nothing at all. And, so I see a lot of people who just don't love themselves, don't have the time to spend on themselves, don't have the knowledge of how to spend their time on themselves, don't know that instead of 30 minutes online, if they would take a walk or take a free course at the community center, they would be much better set for the future than if they get on here and try to elicit some type of control that doesn't exist. Whatever you think you're creating online, it doesn't exist. Like I tell everybody else, this is not real. Whoop. Now, if you personally are in a physical contact, that's real, but this is not real because you can manipulate this and they can manipulate it. It's not real. I go on here trying to be a positive light for people and try to wake them up and tell them, what's going on. I see how they manipulate and use this, especially in the justice system. I just want people to know this is not a good place to play your games because people are going to come after you. This is stupid. It's stupid. Spend your time and your energy on people that can talk to you, touch you, hug you. Have somebody that can, yes, call you out for bad behavior, but also reward you for good behavior. You need that emotional contact. This is not a good place. We have detached so far from people that we don't understand what we're doing to each other. We're so worried about our emotions, we never think about anybody else's. So we go through life thinking we're the only person in the herd. That doesn't work in a group of llamas. It doesn't work in a group of people either. But we got thousands, probably millions of people that go on the internet and think that I'm the only person in the herd. I can behave however I want to. This is for me only. And I'm like, you don't understand what you're doing to yourself. You're detaching yourself so far from society, you can't get back in. And so when you're 50 and still in your mom's basement or at a computer lab using your friend's laptop because you can't keep a job because you need your fix on the internet, remember that some little podunk woman from Appalachia told you you're going to end up there. I hope you wake up before then. I really hope you do. I would think that everybody's worth every amount of energy they've got to become a better person, to pursue a better lifestyle, and to have a life that makes them happy, makes them smile. And if you're coming on the internet to scream at people, you're not there, honey. You're not there. And I hope you get there. You're taking a really roundabout way right now. Well, if you look at the digital world, and I don't think they thought they was making a good response, but I'll give them kudos. You made a good response. If you look at the digital world, they are actually trying to erase the middle class and create a royalty and serfdom again. Just like the medieval times. They don't want a middle class because that middle class creates issues for them because the middle class has enough control so they can manipulate the things that they want to have complete control over. So they don't want a middle class. So they're starting to take those middle class jobs and digitize them, outsource them, turn them into AI, robotics. That's why you see manufacturing jobs going by the wayside. You see more robots in these factories and stuff. You see more stuff being outsourced. You see stuff being digitized. You see data centers popping up everywhere. Why? Because they want everybody's information. They want to know everything. They want to have it logged. They want to know everything about you. What toilet paper you wipe your hind end with. They want to know because they can use that information to further augment the world society so that they can create the society they want. Well, how do we stop that? We stop giving them information. We stop being okay and just shrugging their shoulders when they close jobs and when they create robots for factories. We stop letting everything be okay. We start showing up to board meetings and to community meetings, and we start sending letters to manufacturing companies to let them know, oh, we don't like this. You know, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and here lately the squeaky wheel has been a lot of people that are just off kilter, and they are fussing about things that really aren't going to change society. It's just how they apply to them. We need to get back to looking at society and how it's going to affect everybody and good decisions for everybody, and standing together as a humanity to say no. Rather than 5 extra cents on the dollar, how about you take care of workers so that you have people that can afford to buy your products? But a lot of this money is just looping back and going to the upper echelons pockets. It comes out of their pockets, goes back to their pockets, and it never hits the lower level individuals. And it's frustrating to see, there's like a dichotomy in society where they live way up here and and then they live way down here, and never the twain shall meet. We need those people in the middle, because that is what communicates back and forth. And that is what makes a strong citizen group, basically. And so we're going to have to get back there. We're going to have to get back there. It's atrocious what's going on. But I wanted to hop on and show you what I got with that refund money. I know y'all, for some reason, y'all like to see what I pick. And honestly, Temu is suffering right now. I'm sure the tariffs is going to change everything, but it should. I mean, it should. And I'm okay with that, because it's going to hurt Amazon too. I was like, well, you're going to have to buy from Amazon. You do know that they ship their stuff over too, and they just warehouse store it. So it's, maybe we're going to start producing stuff in America again. I'm completely okay with that. And I'm kind of hoping it does do that. So we'll get some stuff back in the States, more jobs, more factories, more options, more opportunities. Maybe those kids that are struggling right now will end up being empty nesters that found a way to be successful and raise a good family and buy that home and have the life they wanted. I hope we get there. Will we? I don't know. I would rather go through a lot of the crap than make my grandbabies go through the crap. So I'm like, bring it on. Let's just go through it right now. That's just, I'm like, go ahead. I don't know if we're going to get there or not. I don't know. Which makes me worry about my grandbabies, but life is just a big balancing act. That's all it is. Oh, thank you, Dakota. AI is not smarter than human beings. AI learns by repetition. Now, it can process more information, but it only learns the repetition that people can identify and put into a program to let it then recognize. It may recognize thousands more things in a minute, but it only recognizes to the limit and the capacity of the human brain that can program it. So we're going to see it foul up here very soon. We've seen it several times. If you pay attention to the AI talk, we've seen it screw up a few times already. But anything created by humans is going to have a limitation of a human mind. Now, it may be able to process at a much faster speed, but it can only process what we can feed it. And even if it gets beyond the human mind that created it, it's stuck in the human mind of society. And we've got caps on everything because everything's created by humans. So and a lot of people think that this is going to, become a life itself. It's not. It's not. It may bite us in the butt because it's going to learn how to, supersede our control at some point. But it's not going to go and create something, super important, because it is, at the end of the day, limited by the minds that create it, the minds that create the world it has to live in, the minds that control the information it can process. It's just limited. And so I hope people understand that, that's why jets crash, spaceships fail. The human component is a strong one. I wouldn't even go that far to say we have emotional intelligence anymore. I wouldn't go that far. I don't think most of society does anymore. I think we're so stuck in our emotions, we don't empathize or sympathize anymore, and therefore we have reduced our ability to emotionally identify appropriately. So it doesn't exist anymore, at least not the way it should, not the working way in which we become a compatible society. It's not there anymore. I've spent my life working in careers where I try to help people and improve society and better the parameters that people look at the world with, even when they've been knocked way back in the game. But the one thing I have found out is that government control, government agencies, government programs are very rarely created to help people. They're created to pocket money and circle money. Because if you get into a government program and you're actually trying to help somebody and you ask for like more funds or something that's going to cause them a little bit of grief to better the world or better children's lives or to better the surrounding area, they will go, oh, that's not in the plan. And you'll find really quickly that what is in the plan is directly what they've laid out, so that brothers and sisters can get contracts, so that business partners can get money, so that they can get a cut off of everything. It's basically a bank. And I've been really frustrated to learn that. Really, well, you look at the Tennessee Department of Corrections. Charles Trauber was convicted of selling clemencies back in the 70s or 80s. They made a movie about it called Marie. Sissy Spacek's in it. When I worked there, I could not stand that man. He just felt bad. He was still there. He was still in control of Tennessee Department of Corrections after being convicted of selling clemencies and a major movie made about him. They still employed him. Now, if you know he's crooked on one level, he's probably crooked on all of them, because once you approve that in your mind, you then approve that behavior for everything. It's Masters of Psychology. It's a ever-growing system in your brain when you do crap like that. So if he's approved that, he's approved all the crooked stuff. So what else has he been doing since he was convicted that you left him in control? He spoke at a training I went to once, and he came off the stage, and out of probably the 500 people there in the auditorium, he walked up the little pathway and patted my shoulder, and I wanted to come out of my skin. I was like, oh, God, you would have to pick me when I have no respect for you. I am so leery of you. I don't think you have any good intentions for me. I think you're here for the money. You're making money some way we don't know about because you got on a freaking Rolex, and on your salary, you should not have on a Rolex, and I was just like, just feels bad. It just feels bad. That's why we get congressmen and women that come in and they're making $170,000 a year, but they leave being worth $20 million. It's not possible unless you dip into the moderately illegal stuff to have more knowledge than you allow everybody else to have, to violate those laws. I mean, Martha Stewart went to prison for it, but everybody else seems to be doing fine. You just see so many people and how they take advantage of this, how they go and lobby this, petition that, and they've created it all for personal gain. They pawn it off really good, but it's all for personal gain. I was still watching Charles Trauber and some of the trainings he was creating, and I was like, he was really strict on, you be a good servant of the state. You be a good civil servant. And he would always say servant, 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 so that you did not feel that you could supersede the state in any way. So, and then if you had a problem, if you ever brought a problem to them, you were knocked back down and treated really crappy, and even if that benefited them, they didn't want to handle that. They were busy making their money and doing things their way. They really didn't care if people were going. They wanted 30% to go back to prison, and they got mad when I didn't send 30% of people to go back to prison. I would say they didn't violate their supervision. Why would I do that? And they would be like, well, we need this to function because the prisons need X amount. And I was like, I don't care. You hired me to monitor these people by these set of rules set forth by either the parole board or a judge, because I had some probation too. If they don't violate that, I'm not going to revoke their supervision. We're going to work and get through it. They asked me to do something that was illegal, basically. They asked me to write warrants with no foundation. I was like, absolutely not. But, they were, one hand was, reaching out for the other. And they took care of each other. And I learned that very, very, very strongly by the end of my career there. And I was just like, I'm not okay with this. I'm not okay with this at all. Well, I mean, that's nice. I do. I did counseling for a long time. I did in the school systems, education programs where, you have to teach them their A, B's, and C's, but you also have to role model that intelligence, emotional intelligence you want them to have. I worked with kids that were mentally and emotionally impaired because they were at these camps because they couldn't make good decisions, or they had issues, they had mental health issues. Worked with them a long time, petitioned for many of them, to not be sent back home. I petitioned and told them, don't send this one boy home. I said, he's got demons we have not yet touched. Do not send him home. And I petitioned for another grant to keep him there. He was not safe. I said, he's not safe if you send him home. He's not safe. And they said I needed to leave the meeting. It was a master treatment plan. Man, you need to leave the meeting. They didn't approve another grant. Number one, because they could get more money from a private boy that was spoilt rotten, didn't have any problems. His parents just didn't want to deal with him. They had money to not deal with him. So we let go of a kid that was learning to overcome his demons, but hadn't got there yet. We let go of him when they could have had X amount of dollars because they wanted XY amount of dollars. So they shoved this kid that actually needed us and took this little kid that needed to be babysit because he'd never been taught to behave. Weeks later, we get notified, oh, that boy that we didn't keep, that you wanted us to keep, you said he was not safe if you left here. Yeah, he stepped in front of a train and killed himself. And they were completely okay with it. I think I was the only person that cried. So the people working and doing these things, trying to help educate these kids, make their worlds better, make them understand how they need to, put themselves first, make these good decisions, learn the skills they need to have. The agencies you work for are completely throwing you away because they don't want to be held accountable by people that are doing the right thing. They just want to make that money. And we're going to have to get off that track. We're going to have to start taking care of people again instead of just taking care of bank accounts. And until these powerful people understand that, it's going to be hard to educate these young kids and these young adults because they have been trained. And listen, operant conditioning is a huge thing. If you know anything about how the brain forms and when it forms and the things that create its formation and the myelination and all that stuff, then you know that operant conditioning is a big part of who you become when your brain is done. We raise these kids to be complete adversaries to what the world needs. So now correcting it is almost going to create a war between generations because there are two different mindsets, two different conditioning protocols, and two different end goals. And I think that was created on purpose. I think it was created on purpose. And artificial intelligence is not going to save anything. It's not, in the long run, it's not going to help. It's going to further reduce the communication of people. It's going to further reduce the contact and dialogue. It's going to further detach people. People are living in dissociative states everywhere now. And if we keep pushing AI and we keep having long distance jobs and remote jobs and you don't have to show up and act like anybody, we are detaching ourselves so far that we're not going to be able to come back. We're just not. I mean, just in the 4 years since the big stuff, look at how people's mentality changed toward other people in 4 years over a cough, over something they had no control over. Nobody had any control over it. We're just taxi cabs for viruses. That's all we are. Nobody had any control over it. It was going to spread the way it was going to spread. I grew up on farms. You got something spreading, it's going to spread. That's the way it's meant to go. That's how nature made it. Just sit back and enjoy the show because it's going to happen whether you do anything or not. It's just Mother Nature. In just a few years, we made people so hostile toward other people for something they had no control over, for something that nobody has control over, something they can't control. But people started putting guilt on people because they would sniffle in a restaurant or cough in a supermarket. There were people that jumped on people and beat the crap out of them. Well, number one, if you're scared of a virus and that person coughed and you're scared of cough, jumping on them or touching them is probably not going to help you at the end of the day. But we made people so crazy to think they were in a state of danger. And for 90% of the country, you were not in any elevated danger. You've been around these viruses your whole life. Animals packed them for years and years and years and years and years. They've been back and forth between people and animals for a long time. They just amplified certain characteristics of this one to make it worse. And so people couldn't understand that. There were people on so many different fences, and so they wanted to hold different people accountable. And then there was contention among the ranks. And then if you sneeze in the supermarket, you would get physically assaulted. If they can do that to the human race in just a matter of months, how much control do you think they have? I mean, we are so far beyond teaching emotional intelligence and having a change. We need to basically start all over. I mean, the internet is no longer a positive thing. Actually, it's just not. We did much better when we had to be accountable and speak to each other, go to community meetings, have groups of people to help monitor things. We just did much better on a physically connected level because we use the internet so inappropriately, or it's used as a surveillance state against us. It's become a catch-22. It's not a positive thing anymore. It's just not. It's just not. It's just not. And, one thing I say is you have to raise kids in this world to understand the snares. You really have to raise kids. And if you've not raised kids in this world, then you probably don't have a dog in this race because you don't understand the dangers that are out there for completely unsuspecting young people that don't know boundaries yet. And the boundaries are hard enough in person, in real life, they're really harder online because even adults don't see the boundaries. You saw what people came in here saying. They don't see the boundaries. So how do you expect kids to see them? We've got a whole generation of kids that were raised. They don't know when to stop, where to stop, how to stop. And you can't tell kids they're wrong anymore because then you're being oppressive. So we basically taken every bit of the humanity out of society. The only emotion you worry about is yours, which is completely wrong. And we've trained people to just be absolute assholes. And I mean, that's what we've trained people to be, absolute assholes. They can't sit down and talk to anybody. They can't take anybody else's statements and take them as informative. If you want to take it, if not, throw it away. They take everything people say as aggressive, violent. I mean, a person that's been sitting up messages for me for the last 10 minutes has been dogging everything I say. And it's not because they truly disagree with me. It's because they think they have to be right. I don't have that desire because I know what I'm saying is tried and tested for almost 50 years. So you see the arrogance that people walk in online with. Again, no idea what parameters and boundaries are, and they don't know how to have a communication, a dialogue. They don't know how to disagree and still be respectful. We have ruined society. We have ruined society. Where are you going? Okay.
They understand that.
No. They just hear noises you're making beat.
No.
Yeah.
I'm an always make.
So anyway, that's more than I actually wanted to log on to say. I just think I needed to get out of my system.
And a trash catcher.
Well, go on.
All I do is catch trash. I can't catch nothing with a trash.
Well, there ain't been much made the last few nights.
It's all right.
So.
Probably another night of trash catching.
I always think I'm trying to be who I'd like to run into. I like to have somebody that would talk, would reflect, would take information, would speak to the points other people talk about, but would be able to speak about my perspective effectively without getting angry. So I try to be that person. The problem is I rarely meet anyone else that holds themselves to the same. It's frustrating to constantly just meet people that are emotionally unstable and unhinged. I mean, just unhinged. They're just ready to jump. If you say the smallest thing, they're just ready to jump on you and beat the crap out of you. And here's what I have to say. When it came to the time where we had a lot of stuff taken away from us, and then you watch TikTok be taken away and then given back, be very, very leery of anybody in a position of power that takes things away and gives them back, because they are conditioning you to release things and not know when to expect them back, to not demand, to not, have an expectation. You're just at their whim. They're conditioning you. So be very aware of people in power that take things away and give them back, take things away and give them back. And you're supposed to look at them as some kind of benevolent caregiver instead of the person that's doing the crap to you. Because that is like one of the biggest key behaviors for like somebody that's basically going to harm you. Just telling you the truth. And because they're training you to not throw a fuss at the initial stages when you start to see the power struggle. Don't throw a fit. I'm going to give it back to you. I'm going to take it. Don't throw a fit. Shh, you want it back? Don't throw that fit. Okay. Oh, but I want it back. Shh, you have to be good or you won't get it at all. I know I'm so nice. I gave it back to you. Just wait. Just wait. Just wait to where they go. Now that they know they have that power. Just wait. Worked in corrections, did all the pre-sentence investigations for all the murders in my district. Just wait. I see our government elicit more psychopathy than anyone else. Okay? It doesn't matter who's in control. They're eliciting more psychopathy than anyone else. No, defense mechanisms are created. They're formed when you have a lack in a certain regard. Instead of saying, oh, I lack the information to compost this effectively, I'm going to have to go and train myself, then you become defensive, and then you create a defense mechanism. Well, I'm bigger than you. Well, that's not here nor there. I don't know what you're talking about. Am I supposed to stop talking because you're bigger than me? So I stop having an informative conversation because you're bigger than me or because you don't like what I'm saying? How about you excuse yourself? But there we have the lack of the human being to understand boundaries and parameters set forth in a physical contact meeting. And so they create a defense mechanism to distract and deflect so that they can then get what they want. It is a conditioned response, and you create that conditioned response. Anybody that has a defense mechanism has created it over their lifetime and is responsible for that defense mechanism. You must unprogram yourself. You must say, I've got a defense mechanism. This is not appropriate. This is not going to help me. I need to undo that. Every day you make a conscious decision to stop eliciting those behaviors, and you have to bring yourself back down and say, that's not right. I have to handle this a different way. It's the same thing. It's just like losing weight, counting calories, detoxing off a certain medication. It's the same thing. A little incremental change every day will make a huge change in 3 months. But everything that people say, I have a proclivity. No, we're not born with proclivities toward, societal and emotional things. You create the way you respond over an amount of time, and you're responsible for the way you respond, and you're responsible for things that go wrong when you respond inappropriately. So it's probably a good thing to train yourself to respond appropriately. And if you have defense mechanisms or very horrible coping skills, then you probably need to change those. And it's going to take you probably, couple 3 months to start seeing good positive changes, but it's on you. That's your training. You chose that behavior and that response. It made you comfortable. Why did it make you comfortable? Because you were overlooking or not dealing with something else. 9 out of 10 people will choose the easiest way out of something that has the least amount of work. It won't create the best outcome, but it takes pressure off immediately. I would rather sit on the fire and leave effectively than to jump out and know that I've caused myself more harm. And you jumped right on the bandwagon. Thanks for showing your true colors. That is the most blatant statement of toxic defense mechanisms possible. These come unscrewed awful quickly. I hope that the pepper and stuff doesn't come unscrewed on its own and the pepper and stuff fall. Maybe it won't. It just seems like it doesn't tighten very good. We'll see. Who knows? We will see. I don't know. Maybe it'll stay. I'll give you an update in a few weeks, see if they stay together good. They feel good. They're nicer they're bigger than I thought they'd be too. We'll see. I don't know. I still have my little old-timey salt and pepper shakers, so if they don't work, I'll just go back to those. I like salt and pepper shakers. I like to collect them. To know that somebody else used them probably 100 years ago to make a meal for somebody they loved. It's just nice to hold history like that and know that they were used to do something positive they were making a meal for somebody they loved. And now you've got a little piece of that, and it's a good memory to have. It's just a good way to train yourself when you're cooking. You're cooking for all the right reasons. You're making a meal for somebody you love. I wish more people looked at the world like that. But everything has become like a power play. That's how you put the batteries in. You take this off. Power play in society now, and it's not a power play. It's just like even coming on and saying this. If I were listening to somebody say this, I'd be like, oh, that's interesting. I'm going to think about that. I don't know if I agree with you, but I'm going to think about it, and I might come to your side of the fence, and I might not. But thanks for making me think. And to see people come on and be like, I must disagree, and I must throw up fictitious claims about stupid things to make you think that I know more than you. And I'm sitting there going, listen, oh my God, I almost have a doctorate. I just stopped. I've got so much college, so much career, just so much education behind what I'm saying. And it's just like, if you've got more real world knowledge, hey, let's sit down and talk about it. But nobody wants to communicate. They just want to be right. And if you want to be right, you're not going to get to the meat of the problem, which is actually learning, communicating, having dialogue, putting stuff back and forth, that energy swap that really does create knowledge. We don't have good people. Nice tattoos. Thank you. It goes on up, but I'm going on sleeves and half my back. Yeah, so that's how you get those in. You put the batteries in like that. It takes 4 per each one, but they say you don't have to replace them very often. So maybe they'll work good. I don't know. I'll give you an update on these when I use them. I don't know. I think my favorite thing that I got with free Temu credit, yay, was the cow picture of all things. Because normally I have to make my own art. I prefer to make my own art. So to see something that I actually wanted to buy ready-made and put on my wall, super strange for me, because I try to make all my own art, or I try to mix media, make my own art for my home. So that was a nice purchase, I guess. Yeah. So if you stayed here this long, we've talked about a little bit of everything. We started out with some Temu, then we switched to Rody Britches. That's going to get deep in here, and then I kind of pointed out some behaviors people think don't exist until you show them that they're in the contents, in the comments right there, and the responses from people. They're just right there for everybody to see. Yeah, I use my tattoos as a roadmap for life. It reminds me about everything I went through. Well, I would never think that I have all the answers. I would think that I have a pretty good grip on things, but I think that you should always talk to other people and get different perspectives of different lifestyles, because you need a mixed bag of every different strata of society, every different perspective possible to make the best decision. And so I'm working really hard to accrue information, but normally what happens is when I'm trying to talk about things and get information, people just jump on and want to be right. So I don't get any information from them. I just get hostility. Well, that doesn't help me at all. I need information, not hostility. So then I have to, spend a lot more time trying to find a more inclusive group of people that will actually share ideas and information instead of just, countering with hostility. It's very hard. You cannot learn anything in a hostile conversation. You can't learn anything by trying to undercut somebody. You can't learn anything. I've learned nothing. I've told y'all what I feel and what I perceive, but nobody's really offered anything except for, well, I think I'm right. No, you're wrong. It's this. We need to talk about it. And if I can counter and you can't respond in a communicative way, then what good are you? You're not helping anybody. You're not helping people learn. You're not helping people understand your perspective. You're just shouting out points and trying to shut somebody down. That's not going to help. We need as many brains as possible in on this problem. And we need them all to feel like they can just brain vomit all their ideas, because they need to all be on the table so we can figure out the best way to handle this. And but the longer that this internet thing is a thing, then the more detached we're going to be and the less communication we're going to have and less dialogue, the less people are going to want to sift through the information given by other people. We're all just going to be sitting in our own little bubbles thinking we're right, everybody else is wrong, and nothing's ever going to get fixed because nobody's going to have the motivation to do it because they don't think anything's wrong. Their world's great. And then to fix something to show people their world's not great, then people know you're a fraud. It's just stupid. Society is, we're becoming robots, y'all. It's just stupid. It's stupid. We're becoming so scared to be human. It's terrifying to be human. To have bad days, to have a messy home, to not take the best vacation on Instagram. It's just stupid. Like we work on the stupidest things. We put our energy toward the stupidest things. We got, Trump has already found like 80,000 missing kids of 300,000 that was gone. 11 days, y'all. That is proof to the pudding that is where you put your energy. Because for a whole 4 years, nobody could fix the problem. But in 11 days, he's already found almost a quarter of them. That's great. That's awesome. How did we do it? What changed? Let's look at this, because trafficking is such a huge issue in this nation. There are like 5-6 different hubs to where like all the people that get trafficked funnel through. So how do we use that information and we stop this? We get a grip on this. How do we nobody wants to talk about it because, he did not. It's just that Biden didn't have the time. How would you ever justify not looking for missing children? And if I say, let's put everything on the table and let's try to learn how to do this quicker, and so we don't lose children again. The first thing you want to do is stand up for somebody that did nothing. But you're okay throwing those kids right out the door. You'd rather take that time, instead of training somebody or giving your 2 cents that could help save other children, you'd rather stand up for somebody that did nothing because it aligns with you politically or mentally. I think all politicians are crooked as a dog's hind leg. I think some of them use their energy more effectively toward good things and some use it toward bad things, but I think they all have a motivation of power, which is at the base core of things probably wrong. So we're going to see inappropriate behaviors from anybody that seeks a level of authority because power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. So I kind of throw everybody that's in those positions go, okay, well, we're not quite right in some level because you desire power. That creates a very horrible mental soup going on. But I would rather see somebody that has a proclivity toward positive change than somebody that just says, I can't help it. It's just there. So nobody wants to talk about this. They just want to defend. I'm not going to defend anybody. They're politicians. My God, they can defend themselves. At the end of the day, I think they're all crooked as dogs' hind legs. But I think that some have a more positive energy and some have a more detrimental energy. And I'm hoping things get more positive. I'm seeing more positive behaviors, but at the same time, normally if you see positive behaviors from politicians, you see negative behaviors from your society. If you see negative behaviors from your politicians, you see positive behavior from society because one's trying to cover for the other. I'm not going to cover for anybody. I'm going to look at what you're doing. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to say, well, I agree with that. I agree with lost children being found. Hallelujah. And I don't know how anybody can be mad about that. But we're going to have somebody mad about it just because it wasn't who they wanted, to be able to do this. And I'm just sitting here going, I'm sorry, my complete absolute target is the children. I want them okay. I don't care who does it. Just somebody please do it. I guess that's why I wasn't good in the justice system world, because I didn't get into a group of people that gave me power. I tried to stay with people that did the right thing, that followed the law, that didn't supersede their power, that didn't use power inappropriately. I'd be like, okay, you're a decent person. You are a decent person. But also when I did that, what I didn't do was align myself with the people that got promotional powers. So I wasn't anybody's favorite. Well, I was the pro board's favorite because I was a hard worker, and they didn't care. They just wanted good workers. But when it came to the probation, the judge, the little community that was built on that level of supervision, I wasn't anybody's favorite because I was just a worker. And, people like to have their friends in their positions next to them. And you watch people, get promoted that I wonder if they have the ability to wipe their own butt, but they'll get promoted to these high level jobs and they'll completely waste their job. They have a job where they have the ability to change people's lives and help people succeed, and they don't want to do it. They don't want to use it to help anybody. Why would you want them in those positions? Well, at the end of the day, they want them in those positions because they're yes men or yes women. They won't tell on anything they're doing inappropriately. They're superiors that they're using the system inappropriately. They won't say anything because they like their little cushy job with a 5% raise, and they're going to keep their mouth shut. And I saw so much of that, and I was just like, I saw people that had positions that were supervising 130 people when I had 430 something. They could have made such a difference in those people's lives, but they weren't motivated to do it. Why would you get into a line of work where you are a life changer if you're not going to change a life? Why would you get in there and be somebody's buffer from jail if you're not going to help them understand the rules and regulations they have to live by to stay out of jail? Boggles my mind. People do it all the time. And so I know that people go into positions of power without understanding what they're going to go into, and it just completely controls them, and then they turn into a whole different being. I've seen it on so many levels. So I just look at everybody that likes power and I go, but how are you using it? Are you using it for you? Are you using it to help other people? Are you benefiting more people that are not related to you as people that are related to you? You have to look and take these things apart. You can't just say, oh, this is my side of things, so I want to support them. You have to say, what's your motivation? Is it a positive motivation? Is it financially motivated? Or is it motivated by what is necessary and needed? So that's kind of how I look at things. But I don't like politicians. Had to rub a lot of elbows with them in my career. Don't care for them. Don't care for them. I just don't care for them. And when people get in, like we had a guy that was a state's attorney become a public defender. As soon as he became a public defender and he started having to keep that public defender position and go out and get votes, and he led a very different lifestyle than being a state's attorney. You saw his whole demeanor change because he wanted that better job. He wanted that better position. He wanted to be in that position of power over other people, and he liked the income. He doesn't really do anything with the job. I can't say that he's helping people and he's getting, better trained lawyers to be public defenders. It's kind of a crapshoot. But he likes that. So he changed his whole personality to be a person that would continually be voted in there. And I'm just like, that's just not who I am. Number one, if I didn't think I was going to actually benefit that position, I wouldn't take it. That's a very important position that people rely on if they can't get an attorney. I think it needs to have somebody in there that really is passionate about people having somebody that can stand up for them that is capable. I don't know. I just saw so many people, they could have had any job and made the same amount of money, but they chose to get in these very important avenues where people depended on these people and they were not to be depended on. And it bothered me. It bothered me. I think if you sign on, I held my hand up and swore into a U.S. Marshal that I would uphold the law and to the best of my ability help these people find better ways of life so they could stay out of jail. And to see the quality of the officers they have today is just like, wow. They didn't take their swearing in serious. They didn't take the police academy serious. They didn't take their college. Nothing stuck with them. They're just chasing dollar bills, want to have a decent job coming out of college, want to have a decent job they can get retirement benefits from, get a decent job they can bounce up into the Fed level. I had an opportunity to go to the feds. I did not want to go because I did not see anything positive coming from the feds. I had to work with them several occasions, and I thought, how stupid can these people be? And I was like, I thought, hey, I'll get up there and I'll be able to work less amounts and retire 10 years early. That's great. I'll be at the age then I can enjoy my grandbabies and the more I looked at it, I was like, no, I'm just work. Because it was so distasteful what I saw coming out of the office. I was like, I'd rather work 10 more years of my life than be affiliated with the federal level of employees. I mean, things I saw was really horrible. Really horrible. I've watched them create a forensic social worker program so that convicted offenders on supervision could see a social worker quickly and competently and get into treatment immediately, all paid for by these huge funds they created for the forensic social worker program. How many times did a forensic social worker get anyone from the 8 years that I worked with forensic social workers? How many times did a forensic social worker get somebody into treatment? Goose egg. Want to know why? I would say, well, I've got somebody that's ready to go to treatment. I think he's at the right mental frame of mind. It's going to make an impact. Let's get him in. Oh, I can't see him for 4 weeks. I'll be back in that office in a month. I've got somebody ready to change today. If he relapses and goes back, we're going to lose him. We've got 72 hours max. I won't be there for 4 weeks. Just set him up my calendar for 4 weeks. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. You can do this over the phone. I really prefer to meet them. Okay, well, how about you meet them in treatment? Let's just get them into treatment. I never accessed any of those federal funds. I don't know anybody that did. Because when you got somebody ready to go into rehab, and they've got 1 day clean, and they call you, I want to stay clean, get me in rehab, you got about 48, 72 hours max that they can actually get through, if they do. You got to get them somewhere immediately. So I just got them somewhere myself. I don't know of any officers that use a forensic social worker. You couldn't save a life putting them a month down the neck. It'd be a month. We're going to save your life, but you're going to have to use and be a horrible person for another month. You're going to have to go against everything you're trying to achieve right now. Wait a month. It's not real. They can't do that. So the forensic social worker program, it must have just been a bunch of money made to circle and go in somebody's pocket, because it did not benefit anyone. And when I went to counseling and had people that were in counseling on supervision, and I would say, leave me the number, I'll call your forensic social worker. They were 60 to 80 days out from being able to take anyone through an assessment. And I was like, I'll do the assessment for you if you'll just take the information to get them into treatment on your dime. Well, we can't really do that. I don't know of anyone that successfully went to treatment. I hope there is people that got to use that money. But I began to wonder if it was not created just for somebody to pocket the money somewhere, because it certainly was not used effectively. Oh, I've been talking and not even listening. They have not confirmed a new director yet. They're still doing I call it the interrogation. So there's not been anybody confirmed yet. We're in jet lag because of a political party. Cash hasn't been confirmed yet, has he? Oh no, I didn't watch the news this morning. As of last night, he hadn't been confirmed. So I don't know when they're going to confirm him. Honey, I got 50 blue billion cousins. If you're looking at related blood, we're all related to each other. Do you know that every American president, except for that, I think it was William Taft, up to Obama, every president was related to King George, the Magna Carta dude? They're all related to him. So, in effect, they're all cousins. Why did you say my cousin Cash Patel? Literally, if somebody you're distant related to had sex with somebody else, your cousins. It's just not anything to brag about. And that's just not really a bragging point. Now, if it's like your sibling and you were raised in the same home with the same standards, that would be something to brag about. But cousin, I got cousins that are in prison. I just don't think cousins are very braggable. But now you just extended it more as your cousin's brother. That even farther removes it from you. Are you okay? Are you okay? He's been nominated, but he's still going through the interrogation progress. He still hasn't been confirmed. At least he hadn't last night. I haven't watched the news since I sat down here. Tulsi Gabbard hadn't been confirmed. There was 3 that hadn't been confirmed that were like super important. So, but I watched some of the questioning. Well, that Adam Schiff, and he a snake. Every time I look at him, I think of Pinocchio. I want to be a real boy. That's just the vibe I get off him. What is there to brag about being related to somebody? That's not anything you did. That's not an achievement for you. That's just nature. What is there to be bragging about? You did absolutely nothing to achieve that. That's not anything you can brag about. That's nothing you can take. Say I did that. That's just that's just nature. Being related to people doesn't mean you're a good person. I've had great families have felons in the middle of them. I mean, it is what it is. It's family. I don't know. People look at breeding like the monarchs. I guess they think it makes them special to be related to somebody important. It doesn't. It makes the person that's done something to be important. But what have you done? You don't get credit just because somebody spread their legs and had kids, had a litter of people that are related. You don't get credit for that. Like you have to achieve something in your life to take credit for it and to be proud of it. Life's that easy for you. Hang in there. I think you may be a little behind. I think you may be just a little behind. You do know that in the monarchy, and what actually has kind of continued over here that people don't like to research about, is the very highly regarded breeding program to where they keep about the same 6 families in power. So they're just spitting each other's DNA back and forth. You know that a lot of the kings back in the day that were crowned were crazy by the time they were 45, 50 because they were so inbred, right? You do know that, right? They had horrible, like, you've seen the profiles of people. They had recessed chins or noses that fell off. Or they had abnormalities due to inbreeding. That's captured in a lot of the portraits that they painted in the day. But a lot of people don't want to talk about it. But that group, that lineage was so inbred that a lot of the kids died. A lot of people never made it to adulthood. There were huge, huge medical and mental health issues. And it's kind of continued over here in America because up until, when Obama was in office, the research on the presidents, everyone but one was related to King George. They were all still in the family. To have that occur, they were really still having a breeding program where they were putting people together for specific reasons, because it's just not that easy to make that happen. It's just not. And I mean, like, closely related. We'll just say that. Closely related. So you've still got to think about, okay, well, we know there were mental health and medical issues from this during, the monarch era, and it has apparently continued. So what behaviors are we seeing from some of the people in power today that could potentially be from that? I wonder about things like that all the time. If you sit down and read a DSMV, I mean, if you read any diagnostic manual, you're going to sit there and realize there's a whole lot more wrong with the world than right. Just you're going to immediately see that, and a lot of it is because it takes time to label it, because it's been such a burr under the saddle blanket of society. We have to label it and we have to handle it. And if you start to retrace mental illness, madness, they would call it, then you go back to people that were, around the plague era and stuff like that. They were making hats out of mercury. They were literally the Mad Hatter, the big top hats. In the process of making those, they used mercury. People that wore them were going mad. That's why they called them Mad as a Hatter. They knew that people that wore top hats had a proclivity to be mad mentally, but people also knew top hats were of the upper echelon of society, so everybody wanted a top hat, even though they knew it would also put you in the running to like 5 times as more likely to have a mental health issue or an outbreak, some kind of breakdown. But people still desire that top hat to look like they were part of the upper echelon society because they didn't care about what might happen to them. They cared about the power they thought they would get. And so, it took us century, gosh, yeah, I guess it took about a century, maybe a century and a half for people to realize that the mercury they used in that process that's what was making people mad. And you got to look at people that wanted power to put themselves in that position. And people think, oh, we're so smart now, and nothing like that will ever happen again. It happens in every society. It happens in every generation, just in a different way. We may not know what's creating a lot of the behaviors we're seeing today. I'm pretty sure, and probably, when I'm dead and gone and been buried for a long time, they'll figure it out. But they'll also be handling something that they can't figure out. It's just the nature of the beast. As people change and as our bodies change and as we genetically change, there's going to be things that we have to chase to catch up with. And every generation is going to chase something they don't understand. But they're going to be able to reflect on past generations and put those puzzle pieces together. But we're always behind the game. So yeah, I'm like, what are they going to say I think it's going to be another mental health issue. And they're going to find the reasoning, which I probably know what the reason is already, but they're going to find the reason for it. And they're going to have a much different medical field in the future based on what they put together from the last 100 years, what they've seen, especially the last 30 years, what they've seen. Really, Margaret? Give me some more information on that. Yeah, I think I've about had enough of you because you're just hostile. You can go be hostile somewhere else. This is a place for brains. Bye. It's a place for brains, not a place for mouths. It's my channel because I'm the person that will put my face to the voice. If you want to be a butthole, go make a channel. But see, she's fought me for an hour and a half now on anything I've said has been wrong or not up to her standard. But her standard is much reduced from the standard I'm looking at. Now I'm looking at things in much more generalities because I'm trying to be able for everybody to jump on the bandwagon here with me and understand. But we have such a hostile society anymore. It's just a shame. It's a shame that somebody that swore they was way smarter than me could not effectively communicate enough to have a conversation. They were just wanting to show power, be powerful, be noted for something that they weren't even responsible for. I'm related to Kash Patel. He didn't do anything special to get there. That's just nature. Kash Patel's only important because he's done something with his life. What are you going to do to be important? Because being related to him is not, you don't get to share his importance. You don't. You have to do something for yourself. Boggles my mind. People think they're important just because they're related to somebody. No, you're important because what you accomplish in this life and how you help others. What have you created to benefit others? It's not about benefiting yourself, it's about benefiting others. So, but you can just see the hostility in society when I'm sitting here and I'm just like chewing the fat, talking around about nature, about things that concern me. And rather than say, yeah, I kind of agree about this, but I look at it different here. Well, okay, this is great. Tell me. Don't say, well, you're wrong and I'm smarter than you. I'm bigger than you and I have a more important job than you. And I've worked at every level. Jobs today are just generated to make you feel good. They're really not important at all anymore. They've taken all importance away from us, people that are down here on the peon level. Hello. So if you're still working, you think you've got an important job, you just haven't caught up to figure out you're just a worker bee. There are no important jobs to people that actually just work anymore. The important jobs are held up with people with power. I had such high hopes as a child about creating a positive life, a happy life. And I went into it, I mean, naive as crap and got taken advantage of a lot and had to harden my perspective on things and harden my heart a little bit to be able to help people, but to work in these environments with people that didn't care, that were just out for money or greed or power, or that were willing to stomp you to an oblivion to get a leg up, but help no one when they had these jobs where they could help people. So I stayed and I was trying to help these people. And I hardened myself to deal with all the people that were just ladder climbers. That's it. And then I got to about the top tier, and then they wanted me to make a choice about if I was, really there to benefit them or if I was just a worker bee. And because I wasn't there to benefit them, I was actually going to do the job and care about the people I supervised. They didn't like that. They didn't like that at all. I was a problem because I would tell on them if I thought they were breaching the law because I was a law-abiding officer. So they didn't want me anywhere around them. So you can imagine the turmoil I went in with the last several years of my job, just people being absolute buttholes because they knew, oh, she's a good person. She has a good heart and she'll tell on us. She's not okay for us making money off this. No, I'm not okay when you're making money off somebody being on supervision. No, I'm not. Pay me $30 and I'll give you a clemency application. I can't say to be approved. That's not how that works. And it's meant to work in a specific way to keep that application process pure, and for people that have gotten to a level where they're able to ask for clemencies, not to be stodged up with people trying to buy them, not with people trying to sell them. I saw so many people that were just, what power can I have? What can I give myself? And screw everybody else. And that's why the world's falling apart. We don't think about it. I would go to work and I would pray a whole way to work. Lord, help me benefit somebody today and pull them out of the ditch in life and get them back on the road to be a good person. I don't think anybody I worked with ever went to work with that mindset. They were just trying to push paper, get a check, feel like they were important. And all of that was wrong. All of that was wrong. I've met maybe 2 people that were in that job to really, really help people become who they needed to be. Like you see the glimmer of hope in somebody, you see the sparkle, but you want them to shine. And they have the ability, they've just not learned how to finesse and get, make the right decisions. And you help them learn how to make good decisions, and you help them learn how to adapt to the changing world. And then when they do well, you're like, hallelujah, you're shining. That's great. And that's what kept you in that job, not the people that were abusing power. And it's hard to look anywhere now without seeing the abuse of power. And that really frustrates me. So it's like a lot of people, they'll get into a business and they want that business to do well. So they'll acclimate toward people in that generalized, what would we call it? Persuasion. So people that like that topic of discussion or discuss things on that line where they'll gravitate toward them. Well, then people start buying their product just by default. So, oh, you have that? Yeah. Well, then they start advertising in that realm. Then they start wanting the people that they befriended to start advertising for them. When the people they befriended go, well, I'm sorry, but my little world here on the internet, I don't really want to use it to tell people to go buy anything. I just want to talk. So I don't sponsor or talk about any products. And then they'll get mad and they'll start saying, well, I'm going to lie about you. I'm going to put your name in there. And you're like, why would you do that? Well, it's because they found power and wealth, and they're more consumed with that than doing right anymore. And you have to make a hurdle in your brain to approve that behavior. And if you prove that behavior, you've approved a lot more in your brain, let me tell you. So we had people that start out being decent people that got a little bit of power, got a little bit of money, and then they started hounding people. And then they're like, well, if you don't do this, I'm going to take your viewing people away from you. I'm going to take your audience away. Well, why would you do that? Because you came here for truth 5 years ago. It boiled down to money. But they don't tell the people, they just want money, that they make it a pivotal power about whatever they're talking about. So you have people start out being decent people that got a little bit up here and then decided, I own the world. You may not exist if I don't want you to because I have pocket change. Now think about that for 5 minutes. That's basically how the whole social strata is operated. Think about that. I made it sound stupid, didn't I? Because it is stupid. It's very stupid. It's very stupid. It's very stupid to say, you have more money, you must be a better person overall. Really? Well, let's look at their records and see what they've done with their money. Oh, they've not given anybody anywhere else. Oh, they've had to pay for 14 court cases because they've been sued 14 times because their products have hurt somebody. Oh, you still think they're a good person? Well, they're rich, they're popular, they're doing well. Well, that doesn't equal good people. Marketing, management, and business skills, hey, but good people, And I think we've forgotten how to look at people and say, okay, what does your track record say for say about you? What does your track record say that you've accomplished or you've done or you've betrayed? We don't scratch the surface anymore because we only have to show you what we want to show you. We can edit everything. You will never see anything but what we want you to see. And we don't have any contact anymore. We live on this stupid little platform. So we never investigate to see if they're telling us the truth because what we see is, okay, we can swallow that and we don't really want to expend the energy. So we're lazy. They're crooked. It's a complete recipe for disaster. And I sit here and try to take things apart and look at things from a different way. And they're like, oh, you're just wrong. Okay, tell me how I'm wrong. Don't just tell me I'm wrong. Tell me how I'm wrong. And nobody elaborates because they don't know how I'm wrong. They just know I feel bad because I'm going to shut them out in some way that they have been very accomplished in. Bulldozing people because they're related to people. Bulldozing people because they have a little bit of pocket change. Bulldozing people because they take a nice vacation, which they're probably up to hawk in for. And I prefer to not look at lies, and I kind of take you apart when I figure out who you are, and I want to know if you lied to me or not. If you lied to me, I'm out. Because if you lie to me, you lie to anybody. That's a repetitious behavior that you have to approve in your brain, and I'm just not there for that. So I just leave people like that alone. It's the sins of omission. Very good, Margaret. And I can't believe that people don't want to know what's missing in the parentheses. We see all this on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. What about what's being lived between those times that they choose to put their life on display? That's what I want to know. That's who you are at your core. That's who you are when you're sitting at your table trying to fold yesterday's laundry that's already wrinkled and you're frustrated and your coffee's got cold. You're about to snap. And then you have somebody knock on your door that brings a little bit of light into your world. I want to find those people. I want to find those people that come and visit and say, hey, girl, I'm about to snap too. Let's talk about it. Instead of, well, I'm better than you. I never snap. I don't need to know that. That's not helpful. I need you to care, commiserate a little bit, and then lift me out of that funk so I can attack the rest of the day. And we're just not those people anymore. We just don't help each other. We don't care. Oh, the Facebook moms they're like a mean girl clique from Hades. I mean, it's kind of funny how, because we didn't have a basis for what these platforms were going to show or what they were going to become. It's kind of funny how the groups kind of mirrored the groups we made fun of in the movies. Like, you can take the Breakfast Club or Mean Girls apart and apply it to every group on social media. You can almost tell where people fall by what they portray. And it's portrayal because you don't have to record it and edit it if it's not portrayal. And they like edit, put filters over their faces, and I mean there's really not a bunch of realism in what they portray anymore. Oh gosh, yes. I kind of wonder if that's why Winona Ryder's messed up today. She played some dark characters. I wonder if that really messed her up. She plays some really dark characters. I don't know. I think about stuff like that all the time. I wish I had people that would talk it through with me, but nobody talks anymore. Well, Margaret talks. I've got a few on my page that talk, but like in overall, people you run into on a daily, they just don't talk about these things anymore. They're not curious. Curiosity has been quelled because it creates problems. But the problems it creates normally fixes society, but they don't want us to create those problems anymore. David's like, are you ever going to shut up? it makes sense. Thank you, Margaret. You just complete circled for me. Yeah. That makes perfect sense. That answered a lot of my questions right there. See, I just need that one little piece of information. Thank you.
Surprise.
These take 4 batteries a piece, but they say you never have to change them. Do I have 4 batteries? But probably not. I'll probably have to go and rob batteries from everything else. Who actually has batteries in a drawer? AA. Ooh, David has AA's. Hey, I can put my grinders together. I'm happy. It took that little thing to make me happy. Margaret, you just completely that filled everything in for me. I think I need to stop on that. I'm gonna have to process that for the rest of the day now. I am gonna go watch and see if they do confirm Tulsi and Cash and all those people that were still pending last night. If you watch the questioning, oh my God. Listen, Adam Schiff, sometimes you just need to call the herd. And I think he does not need to be in politics. I think he needs to be in like advertising. I don't think he needs to be in politics. I just think Adam Schiff is one of the most crooked people. He lies about everything. Nothing he said is ever like he was trying to blame these. There was a change in the FBI, and he was trying to blame it on Kash Patel. And I was like, Kash Patel's not even been confirmed. He's not even working yet. He has no power or authority to do anything, and you're going to blame this on him? He can't even do anything yet. But you see people on Adam Schiff's side going, yeah, that's right. He's a horrible person. But he didn't do any of that. He's not even in power. He has no authority. But again, they appeal to people's emotions, and people that are okay with being on an emotional roller coaster don't really care about what's right or wrong. They just care about staying on that emotional roller coaster and feeling life. Those are the people that normally have a mental break because they don't ever pump their brakes and give themselves a moment to recoup. You cannot be on a roller coaster emotionally or otherwise for the rest of your life. You have to really find a time to just chill and think and reflect. And those people never go inward. They never challenge themselves. They always challenge someone else. And then they get really frustrated and they snap. And then we see them on some kind of crime show. And I'm sitting here going, can you all identify what you're doing? Apparently not. So it's just one of those things that I hate seeing. Margaret, you're spitting a lot of facts today, a lot of things people need to think about. I don't know. I think I just need to chew the fat and process. And I'm really frustrated though because my health and I'm always at home and I don't get out. I really have to seek out people to talk to. I have friends all over the world and they're great, but sometimes their life gets hectic, like mine's been hectic lately. And sometimes you just have to kind of chew the fat and talk it out. I really wish more people would do that and come on here and do that with me instead of being hostile and think they have to curtail my thought pattern. Maybe, I don't know, maybe society will improve. I don't know. But just people don't know what's out there. They don't know that local law enforcement has these tools. They don't know that our government is way far more advanced. They're like 60 years ahead of us at least. They don't tell us they made something until they make it, and then they're like, look at what I made. We're like, well, how long have you been working on that? 45 years. Well, how come you didn't tell us? It's just one of those things. People need to understand that a lot of the reasons we're all not okay in this world is a lot of the stuff going on that we don't know about, a lot of the ways that our bodies are being manipulated that we don't know about. And we want to blame it on other people, and it's not really society that's doing it, it's the people in control. And we need to start looking together. We need to start looking at the people in control. And even though we may not agree on 100% of everything, we're all close enough that we know we need to be looking that way. Just let's all be friends again and look that way and hold people accountable. Even if we don't agree on everything, we'll sort that out later. We just know that we need to be looking that way. Let's do it. Makes sense to me. But, that's where I'm chill and other people aren't. They have to be in control. So that's my hope, that people will just listen to this and go, oh, yeah, no, I probably need to challenge my thoughts. I probably need to challenge my beliefs. I probably need to reflect a little bit more, be a little bit more introspective about the things that I believe. I need to look for communication and dialogue rather than conformance in the communication. I don't like to conform to anybody's wishes. I'm just not a conform. I know it's just not going to happen. I got to be able to follow my brain. And if you don't care that I'm following my brain, you just want me to believe what you believe, then you don't really care about thought. Because some of the best brains in the world just needed to follow that, crooked road of thought until they got to a really good idea. So I don't know. I just think we need to be more forgiving of the people on our level. We need to come together more. We need to be physically interactive instead of just on this platform. We need to care about people again. We need to look at the longevity of what we're creating in this world and what legacy we're going to leave. And we should care about how we interact with others and how we make others feel. Well, you are late to the... I've been yapping for a while. You were supposed to tell me to shut up an hour ago. You're just so far behind. You just need to excuse yourself from the whole chat. You have disappointed me. But I think a lot of people just, the reason they come in here and they say they don't want to be here, but they stay for an hour and a half, is they don't hear anybody talk things through anymore. They don't hear anybody follow their own thought. And it is novel until they realize it's something they also should be doing. And so they come back. It's like having tea with somebody at your table that you respect and going back and forth. A lot of people don't understand that anymore. And so when they find it, they're so thirsty for it, they stick around. So, I mean, y'all can listen to me as long as you want to. I just sometimes have to choose stuff out, and this is where I choose to do it. And if you want to listen to it, good on you. If you don't, that's okay too. We can't all be perfect. So, but maybe y'all will share when this loads, and y'all can leave a comment. Maybe y'all will share what y'all are currently kind of circling the target on and thinking about what has really got y'all kind of energetically pointed towards. What are you focused on, thinking of, worried about in your world? What is affecting you? Because we're all different. And it's nice to know that I'm not the only one that is struggling with certain points, certain topics, certain events. It's nice to know that other people are struggling with that too, and that there are people that still will talk instead of just jump on people or berate people or be hostile. There's still people that will communicate and have a dialogue, because without that, humanity's done. And we've seen about a dozen people come in and try to shut me up. That worked really well. Still here like an hour and a half later. It just don't work. I'm sorry. But it also opens door and lets people come in to identify, that's what I do. Oh yeah, let's start communicating again. Let's start talking. Let's start discussing stuff. Even it's better to do it in a physical realm with each other. But if you don't have the outlet, do it here. Do it below. Don't be worried if somebody's going to say something about what you say. Just talk about it. Talk about the comments. I'll come back and talk to you. Let's start rolling things over again and chewing the fat and taking things apart and looking at them from different perspectives and getting multiple brains in on stuff. And let's stop harassing people for having thought. Let's stop harassing people for not thinking the way we think. Let's stop harassing people for being brave enough to put their face on YouTube when you're apparently a keyboard warrior. You go. I'll give you a participation award today. Let's start actively living life again instead of being scared of the people that are just running a big smoke pole. I mean, all they're doing is running a lie. They come on here and they try to shut people up. Then they want you to look at their Instagram where they edit and manipulate and meticulously create a life they want you to believe they have. We all know, if you have 2 brain cells, that nobody can live the life that they portray on Instagram or all those. You can't. Life gets messy sometimes. You can't have a perfect house 24/7. You can't have a perfect life 24/7. Crap happens. Babies spit up. Dogs crap on the floor. And people that don't ever show the realistic side of life, it's because they don't want you to see it. That means normally they're hiding something. I don't really have anything to hide. Y'all know I come on here looking like trash. I come on here diddied up. If I have something to say, I'm going to come in here and say it. Doesn't matter what I look like at the moment. I'm looking for like-minded people that are trying to think and that aren't so upset when people have a thought process, or I don't care if you think differently than me as long as you're thinking. But if all you're trying to do is, put a bushel over my lot, I just, put a bushel basket over my, I just know I'm not there for that. I'm not there for that. So if you come in trying to harass people, I'm just going to block you. Margaret, boy, I tell you what, I just, sometimes I can sit stuff out and say it in little quips like that. And the last month has been really difficult for me. I've not been as sharp as normal because I've been dealing with a lot of crap, around home. I've just not been. You're on it today, Margaret. You're doing great. You're like, I'm, you're doing great. That's right. Let it shine. I can't stand people to go, no, don't you say that. Why is it going to bother you? I'm going to say it now. I've never looked at somebody and said, you better not say that about me. I would be like, what are you going to say about me? I want to know because I don't have a clue. I've had people mad at me for like 4 years now, and I've been like, I ran a billboard for you to put it on it because I still don't know why you're mad at me. And then when they've had people ask them, well, what did you do? They've not been able to tell them what I've done. They're just mad at me. And probably it's because I've made them reflect, and then they've had to reflect on something about themselves they didn't like. They didn't change it. They decided to remove me from their life. Hey, some people make good decisions. Some people make bad. It happens. And so I'm over here, and I'm like, okay, you don't want me around. That's fine. I just kind of go live around people that, seem to like me. It doesn't bother me that people don't want me around. I have people I don't like to be around. That's fine. You make your decisions. I'll make mine. But now I normally will tell people I'm not going to be around you because of this, this, or this. So that they know what bothered me. So that they know why there's a division. Because I don't want them bringing it back around to me. And when I don't get that in return, I'm like, oh, I made somebody mad. They need a pacifier and a blankie and a break. And I just go on because that's not people I want to spend my time with either. I don't really get offended that much. I don't like for certain people to say stuff on my channel because I have such good subs. A good quality group of people that shouldn't be put into some of this crap that people bring here. As far as me, it don't really affect me. I'm going to get off here and carry on with my day. It's going to be forgotten in about 5 seconds. I'm easygoing. See, I'm sure when you shine, I can talk shine shoes. I'm sure when you shine shoes, you see that people walk probably where they don't want to say they walked. We all tread avenues in life that we're not proud of, I guess, at some point in time. Mine was my whole first marriage. Boy, I tell you what, if I could show you the stupid time in my life, it'd be my entire first marriage. I was so stupid. That man had me swoon. He had me absolutely, I was dumber than a box of rocks. I did not understand. I was so naive. I was such a good human being. I did not understand the undercurrent of what was capable if you were not a good human being. And so after that divorce, I grew up a lot, and my whole person changed. I looked at people now in a much different way. I didn't approach everybody with like hope and optimism. I approached people and said, okay, this is who I am. Who are you? And then I expected them to lie to me. And I just watched them in the periphery for several months to figure out who they were. And then I made my decision about if they were, somebody that needed to be in my world or not. But I had to grow up a lot because let me tell you what, the crap that my ex-husband would pull. And because I was such a good person, had been raised so sheltered, I did not anticipate it, expect it, or identify it quickly. And I did not want to be that person ever again, so I became hyper aware after that. It's kind of sad. Well, thank you, Stefan. I appreciate that. I'm just here to tell you, I was flabbergasted by my 19 to 24 bracket of life. That was the biggest growth for me because I came out of a very sheltered place and got thrown to the wolves and had to fight them off and stand back up and put life back together for my children. And that taught me a lot. And it taught me that I would rather know and have a lot of knowledge from everybody and be able to sift them out by their actions rather than to never know anyone and wonder who they are. I would rather spend time with you and make my own determination rather than take anybody else's word for it And that way I know when I make a decision, I'm responsible for it. And it's my decision. It's not somebody else's. And so I became a very adamant person that I was going to get to know people and make my own determinations on who I spent time with. And that really pisses some people off, because then you find out, like, you're naturally curious, so you find out about people. And when you see a repetitious behavior, you will go to other people that know the person and go, hey, have you seen this behavior exhibited? Is it normal? Is it frequent? Is it something I should watch out for? And you know how those people respond with who that person really is. And so I found out a lot after that by just being curious, inquisitive, but being sweet when I did so. And I play stupid and sweet a lot because it gives me a lot of information. It does. So that's what I do a lot. Okay, I'm going to shut up now because I'm going to go put batteries in these and see how well they work. I will give feedback on these. Everything else I got was just kind of a rug, zip ties, a canvas. I do like the canvas. These I'm really curious about, though, because they had mixed reviews, but they feel really nice. And a lot of people said the batteries lasted forever. So as long as I turned upside down and it turned blue and sprinkled something on my food, I'm okay with it. I mean, what else is it going to do? So I do like that they're easy to hang on to and that they're difficult to pop open, so they're not just going to fall apart. I was worried about that a minute ago, but they're getting more difficult to pop open, so I think they'll stay together good. So we'll see. I'll give you feedback in a few weeks on these. I like them. On the onset, I like them. We'll see how they do. I'm going to go put me on. I don't know which pair of nails I'm going to put on. I'm going to put on one of these. Am I having a pink or am I having a... I don't know. I normally don't wear soft colors. I don't know what possessed me to buy these, but I like these a lot. But I'm thinking, should I get out of my comfort zone and wear these? I don't know. We'll see which ones I put on. And I've got a roast going in the kitchen. And I'm fixing to do a load of laundry. And I have cleaned, went through the entire... I call it downstairs, but it's just a step down. I went through the entire addition of the home. I went through every box, anything that could hold anything. I went through it. And so I've gotten that whole place clean. Now I'm going to go back. I put more clothes in my room to go through. I'm going to go through those. I'm early spring cleaning. I don't know what's gotten. I think I'm just, this winter weather where I've been trapped in the house, it's made me, super critical of my home, so I'm redoing, and I've got it tossed. It's a mess right now, but I'm getting through everything and cleaning. I'm just like super annoyed with my house because I've been stuck in it with all the snow and weather, and so I'm like super cleaning everything. So we'll see how that works out. I've got to do a article for the paper. That won't take long. And then I'm hoping to try to go with David on the trap line tomorrow, because if I don't get out tomorrow on one of the warmer days, then I probably won't get out. So I'm going to try to get out of the house tomorrow morning since it's going to be warmer with Dave. Do some videoing of the trap line for y'all. And that will be my outing to get out of the house. I did better at Mom and Dad's. I think it's because change of scenery, basically. But also... lots of times I'll get out and play with the dogs or get out with Dad to go look at the cows. And so I feel like I've gotten out more. Here, I'm kind of trapped in the house when the weather gets bad because there's no reason to go out. So I don't. It's weird. But it's the whole mental mindset of the winter, seasonal depression, all that. I know all that probably filters in there. Really? See, people that are good people that you like bond with, it doesn't matter when you see them in life, you'll just always have that bond. I've got a girl that I've known since grade school. We don't get to see each other very often at all, but when we do, we just go right back into our normal little roles. And we're just as annoying as we ever were. And it's just, we're sisters, basically. It's just so nice. It's nice to have those people. I'm glad you have somebody like that. Those are people that kind of refresh your view on humanity sometimes. Like, if you know it's capable of bumping into somebody like that of that caliber, it always gives you hope. Hi, Ashley. Oh, you came in on the very end, Ashley. I'm so sorry. Y'all have a fantastic evening. I hope you learned something, if not from me, from the people that were posting all the nasty comments. You can learn something from anybody. You just have to look at it long enough. And I hope that, I don't know, got you to thinking, got you off on a thinking tangent, and that you think about something, and then when you get done thinking about it, you've solidified your belief about something, and you're good. Even if it doesn't go with me, that's fine. Just as long as you're thinking and making your own beliefs. It is kind of, yeah, Margaret. It's yeah. That's a good parallel to draw from that, yeah. Oh, Ashley, honey, that's perfectly fine. I just hate that you come in on the tail end of it. You don't feel like you have to watch this. We've just been chewing the fat and poking fun at people that have been complete turds. We had a row your britches that moment, had a really good conversation for a while, but don't worry about it. I'm still fussing with YouTube, and I came on to basically talk about that and Temu, and then I had a tangent. So, but I'm gonna have to go. I've got my roast. I can smell it. I need to add my veggies now. I've had my rump roast in there for a while. I'm gonna get that put together. I'm gonna do some other stuff. I'm gonna rest for a few minutes too. I kind of overdid it at Mom and Dad's, but I have a tendency to do that because I'm up and down the basement stairs, which are very hard for me, and then I'm sewing and doing and. But I did get that mantle done. It is on Etsy, so if anybody's looking for a Viking fur mantle for a Renaissance fair, it's in the Hillbilly Heart Decor Etsy store. David's got it. I didn't line it so it could be cheaper for people. You're basically just paying for the fur. My work was basically free. But I hope somebody can find that and use it to go to a Renaissance fair on a budget instead of paying $220-something for a fur mantle. Blows my mind. I did also get a faux fox or fox. I don't know if it's faux or not. I have to look at it. A fox fur coat. And she said, I'm never going to be small enough to wear it again. Would you like to turn it into something? Yes, I would. So I've got a fox coat that I'm going to be turning into some stuff the next time I'm down at Mom and Dad's to use the industrial sewing machine. I'm not going to hand sew this one. That was a bunch. That was a lot to ask of myself. So I'm going to use the Juki on the next one. We'll see what I create. But I'm excited because she dropped it off at Mom and Dad's this morning. I said, well, I'll be back down, and when I am, I'll use it to create something. Whether I make another mantle or I don't know. I'll do something. I'll look and do something. Margaret, let me get a good piece of tanned fur that has got a good dense fur on it, and I will make you a tobacco pouch. I just want to make sure it's going to have a good level of dense fur on it. I have people that come in and say really nice things. I have people come in and say really horrible things. I think I react about the same to all of them. From Scotland, where they have mozzarella. Mozzarella. I'm half Scots-Irish. A little smidgen of German, and then the rest is like native. Although my terribly white, freckly skin, stands up for the Scots-Irish. I know. David said he has batteries because I didn't have that many. It takes 4 each, but they say you hardly ever have to replace them. I'm excited. So in a couple, 3 weeks, I'll tell you how they're doing. Right now, I like them. I like the way they feel. I like them. So they were bought with my Temu credit. I've got one big purchase left to come in. It's already late. They've already had to give me a late fee. But I've got some other stuff coming in for my Temu credit. I'm not buying anything. I'm too poor to buy anything right now. But I do have the credit I spent. I've got one big purchase for the bathroom coming in. Like, we need a shelf in there really bad. And then some dibbly stuff. But they're already behind schedule again. I don't know what's up with Temu, but at this point, I'm making money off of them, so who cares? I mean, it's sad for their business model, but hey, fix it. Fix it. Oh, Black Betty. Now I'm going to be singing that song the rest of the day. Okay, I'm going to have to shut up. I'm going to let David bring these batteries in so I can load these here soon. I'll give you some feedback. I'm going to go finish my roast, do some housework, rest a little bit, and obviously I'll probably snoop online and see if the confirmation hearings are going the way I hope they go. everybody else, look at the next few weeks. Listen, the next 4 years, just buckle up, Buttercup. It's going to be rough because we can't allow anybody to have a good next 4 years because they went against our emotional ideology. So we have to make it all crap. So even though there's going to be lots of good changes made probably in the next 4 years, like there's already been a lot of good changes made, but it doesn't matter how good the changes that are going to be made by this administration. It's going to be crap because the other people don't want these 4 years to seem like good 4 years. Just buckle up. Okay, it's going to be crapshoot. There's going to be minutia flying everywhere. Buckle up. We are all on the chop block. We are all food for the beast. We are nothing but fodder beans hanging on the back porch that nobody really cares about anymore. So make sure that if you love somebody, tell them you love them. Make sure that you're watching out for yourself and make sure that you're being very, very aware of your fellow man because we're all a little bit suspect right now, okay? And just try to be good people when you can. Try to find good people to be around. And be very, very, very sure of your boundaries that you put out for others because the next 4 years are going to be crap. And honestly, it's going to be this way because we've become such a power greedy nation. It's going to be this way with anyone that changes power. As long as the two sides are battling, everybody in the middle is going to be foobarred. So welcome to foobar land. Pick your neighbor. Hang on tight. We'll get through it. And let's just try to make this a better 4 years than what we just came out of. I'm not sure if that's I don't know if anybody cares anymore, but I'm really hoping that more positives come out of this than negatives. But we shall see. All I'm going to do is just keep my head down and keep doing what I need to do to survive and keep people that are good around me. Really? Oh, crap. Thank you for warning me about that. I'll look into that too. Okay, y'all have a great day. I'm going to jump out of here. I smell my roast. I hear it bubbling. I've got to go put some stuff in it. Y'all have a great day. I love you. Thanks for hanging out with me just because I needed to process all this crap. It is what it is. Appreciations. Bye, guys. See if I can push a button.